He continues to fight inside of Turco Bravo. Turco Bravo by a head. Daysvelo on the inside, but Turco Bravo's a little bit better. Turco Bravo in the Birdstone over Daysvelo.
Last year in the Birdstone, Javier Castellano guided Turco Bravo to victory in the mile and three-quarter marathon. The 8-year-old reunites with the Hall of Fame-bound jockey to defend their title. Next on Saratoga Live. The defending champ returns in the Birdstone. Can Turco Bravo regain his form in Thursday's feature? This time, he'll have to prove it on a fast main track. Turco Bravo will be reunited with jockey Javier Castellano, the four-time reigning Eclipse Award-winning jockey. Will have his big moment coming up on Friday with Hall of Fame induction looming. And we'll have the latest on multiple Grade 1 winner Gun Runner. The target is squarely on his back for Saturday's Grade 1 Whitney. We will talk plenty about it coming up. Welcome to Saratoga Live on this Thursday afternoon. Beautiful weather here in Saratoga Springs. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Always a great day to be at Saratoga. The Adirondacks there in the background, and a great day of racing coming up. You've joined us just in time for the starts of a late pick four sequence. Tremendous crowd on hand, enjoying this beautiful weather here at the premier race meets in the entire country. Greg Wolf alongside racing analyst Gabby Gaudet, and we have some good races to talk about obviously today, but this Saturday everyone talking about the Whitney, and can Gun Runner keep it going? He came back from Dubai and was just dominant in the Stephen Foster.
We shall see, Greg, and it's been interesting couple of months actually in terms of that division. We did see Arrogate, a subpar performance on the West Coast most recently, even Shaman Ghost being defeated in the Suburban. But Gun Runner, he really is coming into the race in this division untarnished, so to speak, after his big victory in the Stephen Foster last time out. But he's a horse who has a lot of natural speed, Greg. He's immensely talented, but the pace dynamic is going to be interesting with the presence of Two Brutus and Cautious Giant, who figured to be on the lead. He's going to probably have to rate from off of it, but there's no doubt about it. He's the most talented and most accomplished horse in the field, making him your 4-5 favorite.
Yeah, his trainer, Steve Asmussen, he's usually pretty cool, calm guy, but he was cognizant of the big upsets that we've seen across the country. Here in the Jim Dandy, of course, and what would happen with Arrogate out on the West Coast in the San Diego. But he seems like he's awfully confident, and why shouldn't he be? His horse has been sensational in 2017. As you take a look at the field, there's 7-horse group. He'll be 4-5 of the morning line. I expect to see a much shorter price than that on Saturday.
I would say so. Like I said, he dominates in this field, or at least in terms of his most recent performances. But Keen Ice, well, he's really no slouch, right? He dethroned a Triple Crown winner in American Pharaoh in the Travers, so he could come in with a good performance. But I really do think it's Gun Runner's race to lose.
Of course, his trainer had a Hall of Fame moment, induction last year for trainer Steve Asmussen. We have the new class getting ready to be inducted on Friday. With more on that, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And we see, as far as equine athletes are concerned, Greg, one of two of the inductees in this year's Hall of Fame class is the small but mighty Goldakova. She is the only horse to win consecutive 3 Breeders' Cup mile races in the history of the Breeders' Cup. And furthermore, she won all of her races all but 5 times against the boys. So she took on the boys plenty of times and beat them soundly. She's certainly one of my favorites. As far as people athletes are concerned, we see 3 jockeys making it in this year, and one right here in our backyard is Javier Castellano. He's won the Preakness twice and has also won the Eclipse Award in the last 4 years as outstanding jockey. He will be accompanied by Jose Espinoza, as well as, Victor Espinoza, as well as the late Garrett Gomez. So this year's Hall of Fame class gets inducted tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Tom Durkin will be the MC, and admission is free, but it's a first come, first serve as far as seats are concerned. So looking forward to seeing everybody there, as well as this class, Greg.
Yeah, it's always a tremendous afternoon, and it's right across the street from the racetrack here, so no excuses if you're going to the races. Try and get into that induction ceremony. Tremendous 2017 class for this year's Hall of Fame. You can watch and play along with the races we show you each and every afternoon here on the show. Go to NYRABets.com, open an account. When you bet 200, you get 200 in your account. Use the promo code PIG5 to get signed up and started and play along as you watch all these races here on the show. And that is the only way, if you reside outside the state of New York, to be able to play that NYRA Bets Late Pick 5 as well. Track conditions brought to you by John Deere. Main track fast. Turf course is firm. We have some cheers behind us because we had an inquiry and objection here in the 6th race that started off that Late Pick 5, but there's no change in there. We'll have those results coming up in a minute. Finished 5-7, 11-6. But the races we are bringing you, the Late Pick 4, that begins with that 7th race. Mile and a 16th on the inner turf, that Birdstone. Hard study for Todd Pletcher. Going to try and turn the tables on Turco Bravo, the defending champ. Race 9. Sprint on the turf, and the 10th mile and a 16th on the inner turf for maiden New York Preds. Send it downstairs to the rest of our crew. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, former New York Met and LA Dodger, Paul LaDuca. Guys.
I don't know what I'm more excited about, the upcoming weekend stakes, Paul, or the 7th race, which looks like a real war.
I was told not to look at you so you didn't cast a spell on me the first time we were sitting together.
I did it to Amos, you know. That's why I can't win a race up here.
Good to be here, by the way.
It's nice to be out by the studio.
Yeah,
paddock,
it actually
isn't it?
is. It's
I know.
beautiful.
Your fans can line up. You'll be signing autographs when you're not on the air. It's going to be great for you.
It actually is.
You'll be running up the roof
I'm
in about
looking
5
forward to
minutes.
the weekend. I mean, I really am. I mean, besides the Whitney, there's some great stakes racing and go along with it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Grade 1 test is being run, the Longines test, as well as the 3 Fasig-Nippon-sponsored races. Named for 3 horses I loved, one of them being Lure, and Way actually going way back. Some great racing over the weekend.
Yeah, Lure, one of my favorites as well, with great Mike Smith and Shug McGahee going wire to wire and back-to-back career cups. We talk about Golikova going into the Hall of Fame with 3 in a row. But a great weekend with Gunrunner and Keen Eye sort of teaming up here for the Whitney. And if Gunrunner does win this race, does he surpass Arrogate? Talk about the pace dynamics of the race. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend here racing. But at the end of the day, guys, every day at Saratoga is a great day.
That is sure. We cannot argue with that, but it's going to be tremendous. Some days a little bit bigger than others, and with a Whitney on the schedule and one of the best horses in training in the entire world lining up, Gunrunner, it's going to be sensational. We're going to take a break in the action. Plenty more talk on the Whitney coming up. Of course, the Birdstone is our feature later today. We'll get back. Start of this Late Pick 4 coming up. Trainer Steve Asmussen, he has been keenly aware of upsets happening all over the country. Can Gunrunner survive his Whitney test ahead? We'll be back right after this on Saratoga Live.
Claiborne Farms Flatter is carrying the flag for AP Indy, rewarding breeders in the sales ring and on the track. Among the nation's leading sires by Grade 1 stakes horses in 2016, this year's stars include Terrace, Upstart, Kobe's Back, Amy's Flatter, and most recently, Paola Queen, winner of the Grade 1 test stakes at Saratoga. Success on the track has led to big numbers in the auction ring as well, with yearlings this year selling up to $425,000. Flatter at Claiborne Farms.
Make NYRA Bets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NYRA Bets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NYRABets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NYRA Bets, racing's best play. Use promo code PIC5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NYRABets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and MSG Plus. Look at Sea Hero there in the paddock on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. We have the Saratoga Showdown still ahead. Great way to get introduced to racing, not risking any of your own money, and learn what this game is all about. And you can win some real prizes too, like a Belmont Stakes prize package for next year worth $2,000. Get in on the fun. Go to SaratogaShowdown.com or Naira.com to get involved.
It's really fun, and it's really easy to be a part of. And as we said, SaratogaShowdown.com. Try it out. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, we got the 7th race coming up, an entry-level allowance. It's over the inner turf at 1 mile and a 16th. And as the board reflects, this race is wide open. Danceland right now for Shug McGahee is the current 7-2 favorite. But down on the inside, Karumana, one of 2, Gabby, in the race for trainer Chad Brown.
This is an interesting race, Greg, primarily because we've got 4 horses in the body of the race that actually come off of decent maiden victories last time out, and Karumana was one of them. It was back in June, and she got an ideal trip. She was forwardly placed in there. We saw Durable Goods. Durable Goods probably ran the better race of the 2, but we did see Durable Goods come back to win a maiden special weight here at Saratoga and getting a good figure for it. So of the maidens, of the recent maiden breakers, she is probably the most likely winner.
Yeah, a little surprising to see her on the board at 5-1. I would expect that would change as we send it downstairs to Andy and Paul.
No question it'll change. She is the favorite. We were marking on that one, a heavy favorite. She is in multis. I mean, she's essentially half the price of the 7 and 8, who look like the 2nd and 3rd choices, and it's not surprising. You've got all the accoutrements. You've got Chad Brown. You've also got the rail, so it isn't enough that Chad Brown's horses seem to dominate around here. He also draws the rail, and she won pretty comfortably last time.
Yeah, she was nice. She was a nice winner. To me, she, you know, it took the lead early, and when you see a wall of horses, she's right on the inside of the 4. You can't really miss her. A wall of horses coming after her, and she just kicks away. Now, Durable Goods is going to be on the complete outside, the other Chad Brown runner on this day, and she ends up running a bang-up second. She came back to win the other day in a weaker turf maiden race, but she got the job done. The 6th place finish in this race, Slight Ranger came back to win when dropped for 40. So it's a good race, and look how stylishly she won it in. So to me, she's got room for improvement.
Durable Goods did improve her buyer figure 2 points. She got a good setup that day. She's the horse to beat, but this is a very competitive field. I'm interested in the 12, Tammet. Now, Tammet's taking a lot of early money, but looking at multis like we were talking about before, she's going to be a much bigger price. Tammet last time, Paul, you know, she was coming off a layoff. It was a 5+ month layoff. She'd run well down in Florida. She finished 2 lengths behind Rimsky, who's a very promising Chad Brown horse who hasn't been seen since then, and we'll show the start of her last race. She's going to break a length and a half slow, and it was a race that was very much dominated by inside runners and horses on the front end. And as we'll see, I thought she made a very nice close considering the trouble she had, and I'm hoping she can get position from the outside.
This is a giant backtrack because when you just get in the comment line that she broke slow and kept on coming, you forget that she actually got stopped. She tried to make another move earlier and got stopped, and then there was nowhere Jose Ortiz had to go, but about 4 or 5 to 6 wide, and I thought she kept on coming. You know, Initiate, your pace setter, ended up running second here and was there most of the way, and she just had too much to do.
And the winner of the race, the eventual winner, you see her coming. She got an exceptional ride. I think it was Joel Rosario coming right up the fence. So it was dominated by a front runner and a horse moving inside, and she had that outside trip. And she's a horse that showed potential earlier in her career. So if she can move forward second off, I think she can win. Now, I know you're very interested in over-negotiate. The big question with her is not talent, but will she be as effective stretching out to 2 turns and more distance?
Yeah, that's the key. You know, she's a daughter of Overdriven. We saw a horse like this yesterday, Gabby, for Rick Violette that had 2 races like this, and then she stretched out and won. A little bit of a surprise.
And that's kind of the same approach that I took with this filly. She has only been facing strictly New York bred company in the past 2 starts, but she's gotten through all of her conditions, New York bred, A other than, 2 other than, and she seems to just have flourished on the turf. I think she can handle distance, and I was very impressed with her last race, the way that she made that closing move when the pace really held together. So, guys, we have a field that there are a couple of recent maiden breakers, and I think that she has a little bit of an advantage that she's got the experience edge, and we'll see this stat with Todd Pletcher stretching out with his turf runners at Saratoga. good, strong stats there, 30% and a positive ROI.
Yeah, one of my concerns is her sire. She's an overdriven.
True.
That's my biggest concern. I have no problems with the fact that she's run well. I mean, Gabby and I talked about earlier today. She actually closed in a race where nobody else made up any ground. How about Shug McGay's horse Danceland in here, Paul? Her last race, she ran a very good second, and I think that was an extremely tough field.
Wow.
I know the winner didn't run well in the Lake George, but she did have some trouble. That was a very tough field.
No, she was giant that day. If you go back and you look at it, you know, Wind Tartar won at Monmouth. She was unlucky to lose.
She was fourth in there, Wind Tartar, I think, right?
Yeah, and Epping Forest came back to run second, and way second behind Morticia in the stake. But this filly by Tabitha, this 3-year-old, you know, got backed up a little bit, and Eric Consell sort of, when she stumbled at the break, he sort of rode her 5 wide and kept her clear. And I can't believe that she kept on coming and coming. She got a little bit tired at the end. And if you look at her running line, she was just behind Enchanting Kitten, belongs in here. And who'd she tag in her first start? She tagged the 1 horse in here, who is your favorite in all the pick 3 wheelbase.
I think the thing about her and the 12 is they really both have to overcome their outside post. Now, there's a long run from the starting gate on the inner turf course going a mile and a 16th to the first turn. So if they can stretch the field out a little bit and get into a position where they're not more than 2 wide, I think they'll be okay. But you'll see, it's not as though the whole field was coming together. And Danceland really did make a very effective close in here.
I did. I really did. You know, right here, she's going to get a little late. She sort of jumped back to her wrong lead. Then she jumped back to her right lead. But, you know, Andy, she never gave up through the lane.
No, she ran well. Now, it wouldn't be a big field, especially of turf fillies here, if Chad Brown didn't have at least 2 in the race. He's got another one, Enchanted Kitten, and I know Maggie has been taking a look at that filly.
And Andy, actually, I prefer her over the favored Chad Brown runner in here. I think Enchanting Kitten certainly deserves a shout out, if you will. I think she had a lot of trouble going back to that Wonder again, where it was won by New Money Honey, who came back and won the Belmont Oaks. So it's not as if she drops out of a field that is lacking in talent. She got checked around the final turn, and she was wide on the first turn, and to me, she looks fantastic here. I mean, she's just carrying great weight, great coat, and to me, just looks like a stronger, more convincing, more appealing, at least in my perspective, horse than her stablemate in here, Karumana, excuse me. So I like Enchanting Kitten, might get a little more value on this Chad Brown runner. Moving on to another one that should be a shorter type of price is number 12, Tammet, and she was coming off of a layoff last time, and you know, I think the course was a little bit more saturated than the listing of Firm. I think it was more of a good kind of course, and I was hoping that she'd take to it, but she, as Andy pointed out, she did kind of come from off of it where, you know, the pace kind of held together, and I thought she ran incredibly well. She has come out of that race looking much stronger and just more into it, into her racing. She has more of a game face on today. I think Tammet deserves another shot here. Unfortunately, she is drawn on the outside, though. Now, moving on to some horses that might be prices. Number 3, Majestic Bonnie, I find very interesting as she's third off of a layoff and kind of going back to a race in June where she did no running. I just thought as though she was a filly that would benefit from getting a race, as George Weaver's horses tend to do. She ran better next time out in a stake down at Monmouth Park, but you see the comment line in that she pulled. Well, she's coming back here today wearing a piece of equipment that is more common with European runners, and I'm sorry, I don't have the proper kind of term for it, but I'm just going to call them English rings. They are kind of a piece of leather that has 2 rings on either side that go that the reins go through. So what it'll do is it'll act kind of as a martingale that will help keep her head more down, more kind of manageable for the jockey. And once again, physically, I like what I see from her, and she's a little more settled than she has been. So she's kind of shaken off those coming off the bench nerves for her third start here of 2017. And then finally taking a look at another long shot, that might be number 9, Proud Reunion. I haven't seen her since she made her debut here for trainer Tom Proctor last year, but she has grown up very nicely. I like her overall presence here in that she's really striding out. She's got a big marching walk, and like I said, I just think that she, now third off the layoff, has really grown into herself and demanded my attention here in the paddock, Greg.
14-1 on Proud Reunion. Florent Giroux for Tom Proctor comes in from Delaware. A lot of ways to go here to start off this late pick 4 sequence. We're going to take a break. We'll have the post parade when we come back. Next up on Saratoga Live, it was an upset for the ages, defeating Triple Crown winner American Pharoah in the Travers. Can Keen Ice pull off a shocker one more time in the Whitney on Saturday. Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before. You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2. Study those past performances. We got an intriguing pick 4 coming up, and it is never easy at Saratoga. Of course, the Naira Bets late pick 5 has been a sensational play. We've increased the daily single ticket payout to $150,000 if the only winning ticket, and $300,000 on Saturdays. You must play through Naira Bets, however, to take advantage of that. Again, available only to Naira Bets customers for that single winner payout. And here's how it started out this afternoon. First appeal out to survive an inquiry. Linda Rice with an undefeated turf runner, and Jose Lezcano has been sensational on the turf all meet long.
Somehow squeezed through a very small opening to just hold off the victory. 10-20 for the return.
That was a race 6, so our pick 4 coming up here in race 7. We're going to see Caramana first to start things off, one of 2 in the race. For trainer Chad Brown, daughter of Chamerdal, Joel Rosario will be aboard, and coming off a maiden score at Belmont.
An impressive maiden score. That said, well posted to the inside and currently co-favorite with the other Chad Brown running.
Claiborne owned and bred, homebred here. Daughter of Blame, trained by Bill Mott. Jose Lezcano aboard Defrock.
We'll have to improve off her maiden win last time out. She figures to be somewhat forwardly placed.
Majestic Bonnie sent out by George Weaver for Bonaventure Stables with Manny Franco aboard.
already stakes place last time out of town at Monmouth. Got Lasix for the first time last time out. Now second time Lasix has a shot at 8-1.
Yeah, beat by guess who? A Chad Brown filly in that spot. The 5 Signal Path of 2015 Fasig-Tipton sales grad, trained by Joe Sharp with Ricardo Santana Jr.
Coming out of a slow pace last time out, going a mile and a 16th, but could be forwardly placed today.
Another Joe Sharp runner right next door, a 3-year-old filly by Into Mischief, Into Summer with Luis Saez.
Got the job done last time in a pretty tough maiden field, not impossible to price.
Over to Negotiate is the 7, Rapoli Stable Silks, John Velasquez and Todd Pletcher.
She has the experience edge and clearly has loved getting to the turf in the past 2 starts, but can she handle the added distance?
Enchanting Kitten is the other Chad Brown runner, coming out of a grade 3 with Javier Castellano aboard for the Ramses.
Aggressively placed last time out, a more realistic spot today, not impossible.
Proud Reunion is the 9, Florent Giroux for Tom Proctor and Brereton Jones.
Has been a short price in pretty much all of her starts. If you like her today, you get a much better price at 15-1.
Rudy Rodriguez sends out colorful charades, and Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
Distance and surface are a question, making her one of the biggest prices on the board.
Danceland has Eric Cancel in the irons for Allen Stable, trained by Shug McGahee.
Got off to a troubled start last time out. Overall, a good performance, but has to work out a trip from the outside.
And Mark Cassey trains Tammet with Jose Ortiz.
A talented runner, second off a layoff, had a tough trip last time, but like the 11, must overcome the outside post.
All right, our late pick 4 pool up and over $324,000. Andy, Paul, what'd you guys do ticket-wise?
Well, we have dueling tickets, but I like that because it means if I get knocked out, I can root for Paul, and if Paul gets knocked out, he can root for me. Hopefully we can find some common ground. I'm using 111-12 here, the logical 1 and 5 in the second leg, a spread of 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and then I'm gambling it up in the last, the 2 and 8. My long shot pick the 2 with a dubious favorite, the 8 for trainer Chad Brown, $30.
Yeah, race 10 is very tricky. We can actually hit this together. We're a little bit separate here. 1, 2, 7, 8, 11, 12. I thought this race was a little bit different. I think the Frock has a little bit of a chance to 2 in here. I'm going to include the 6 in race number 8. Race number 9, I'm taking my shot there with a horse that I don't know if this horse causes his own trouble or not, but Runaway Posse might be the most talented in there at 10-1. You're not going to get 10-1 at about 9-2. I'll go 1, 4, 8, 10. That's where we part ways a little bit. Freckle to Freck was the last horse I left off. To get back to Runaway Posse, I'm hoping that gelding by Posse is going to like the 5.5 furlongs.
The problem with Runaway Posse is you like him, Gabby likes him, and I like him. Yeah. So poor Runaway Posse.
I know. The problem is, does he get in his own way?
He's just got this very short burst. I mean, we'll talk about it more when we do the 9th race, but he's talented enough to win.
Andy Serling, I'm shocked that Freckle to Freck is a horse that you would use in race 10.
Why? It's a big price and good enough to win. And I'm rooting to get my man John Hurtler in the winner's circle.
All right, we'll see. That's the final. I got to get there first. Our horse 0 for 22.
You can't really have a extremely strong opinion on any particular runner in that last race. So I honestly think you want to have a little bit of coverage in the final leg of the sequence. But it's an interesting race, and we'll show you it later on.
All right, in the meantime, we got to get through this opening leg. And as we expected, and as the multi-race wagers showed us, Caramana now the post-time or 3-1 favorite as we get close to the gates opening here for Chad Brown. And Joel Rosario.
But Chad Brown's other runner, Enchanting Kitten. I know Maggie talked about this one. We haven't talked much. She doesn't seem impossible. I mean, she did finish ahead of Danceland at Keeneland 2 races back. She might have had a slightly better trip than Danceland, but I think she's a player in here. She's an awfully short price, though, at 4-1.
I agree, actually, what Maggie was saying in the paddock about the horse. You know, she sort of got floated out wide on the first turn. A horse sort of floated her out, and when she was trying to make her move, Irad got her sort of inside. It doesn't have in the comment lines, it says switch bumps. She got stopped. Now, I don't know if there was going to be anything left because New Money Honey went gate to wire that day, and it was a good field.
She won a grade 1 her next
Exactly.
start.
So it was tough to tell if she had anything left, but I think she's ready to fire a big shot today.
She's getting big class release here, Gabby.
She is, and she's a filly that I noticed first time out down in South Florida when she made her debut, and she's always looked like a very smart, classy filly, very alert when she gets onto the racetrack. So you saw that she had that natural talent from the get-go, and she's proved that in the afternoon. I thought she was definitely up against it last time out when we saw a much better horse than New Money Honey go wire to wire, but she really wasn't ever asked coming down the stretch either, but she's another one that could take a step forward. This is a very, very competitive race, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, we're going to check in with Maggie, standing by with Brad Grady, who's living large right now off a Haskell win over the weekend.
That he is, and couldn't be one of the more nicest guys here. But Brad, it's all about family with you, and you had your family present down at the Haskell, down at Monmouth Park for Gervin's win. Talk us through that emotion going into the winner's circle.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. You know, Joe and Rosie and my wife and kids are all really close, so to achieve the grade 1 milestone with them is unparalleled. I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, me and Joe started our careers pretty much aggressively, and when Joe went out on his own, so for him to finally get the grade 1 that I think he deserves and feel that he always deserved, it was monumental for both of us.
Now, what some people may or may not know about you is that you got your start in pinhooking, and pinhooking is when you buy a young horse, a yearling, and then sell them back as 2-year-olds. And you've had some pretty good ones. In fact, one that beat you out in the Midwest with IRAP and Kauai Katie.
Yeah, no, yeah, I got my start in the pinhook into veterinary in Texas, and then I met Bobby Dodd, and Bobby Dodd's been in the game since 1980, stood the test of time. Had been fortunate, pinhook Hawaii Katie, and made some money on her, and she went on to win several graded stakes here. And then IRAP, that was a little, I was happy for him, but, got beat by a nose. And my little man, 6 years old, reminded me as soon as they put IRAP up, he said, Dad, you should have kept him. I was like, no kidding, no doubt. So kids will say what's on their mind. So it was funny. Looking back, it's really funny. So IRAP's been a great story.
And they are honest kids, that's for sure. And I'm sure some of the horses are like your kids too. But let's talk about the one that you send out here in today's 7th race. That's Into Summer, maiden winner last time out, stepping against winners. What do you think about her chances?
We like Into Summer. She's lightly raced. She was a pinhook go awry, got a small injury as a 2-year-old, so we have her as a 3-year-old now. I think the fillies can really run, to be honest with you. This is really a tough group of horses. It's more like a graded race than allowance, but that's what you get here at Saratoga, why so many people come. I think she'll run good. I do.
All right, well, best of luck, and bask in the glow of the Haskell still.
Yeah, very much so. I'm still basking.
Thanks, Brad. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Gervin named after the town where he is from. It is as small a town as can be. Gervin, Texas. So what a tremendous victory. Hoping that he comes to the Travers, but they've talked about other plans with that horse.
And Joe Sharp has just done a phenomenal job with him. He's had his issues along the way, but just managing a horse like that and getting him to win his first grade 1 is truly incredible.
Well, there's a look at Proud Reunion, 17-1 on the board, and this is the one that comes in from Delaware.
And like I said before, she's been well backed by the public in virtually all of her starts. So if you do like her today, she's 17-1. She is coming off of a maiden score at Delaware on a course listed as good, and I don't think she really faced the toughest of horses, but she's a big price.
Her trainer, she's had some problems, getting out of the gate as well.
Yeah, her trainer, Tom Proctor, though, is 26% with 78 starters off of maiden wins and turf routes with an ROI of $2.73. He's a trainer that maybe people aren't familiar with, Paul, but he's a very good trainer. And at 17-1, I could see using her.
Well, the thing about this filly is she ready? Because her first 3 starts, she's all over the place. She figured everything out her last start. The 2 starts before, she ducked out. The time before that, she was off slow. I think her mind's everywhere, but she put it all together. She's a dangerous horse here.
I mean, that's how deep this field is. I mean, the truth, you go through this field and you can make little cases for everybody. Maggie likes the 3 Majestic Bonnie. I know Gabby likes this horse a little bit. I'm not a fan of this horse, but I think you can make case for a lot of horses.
Wide open race indeed, but surprise, surprise. Chad Brown with 2. He has the 1 Caramana, the 8 Channing Kidner, the top 2 choices on the board. Late pick 4 starts here. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of the Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
And now Signal Path moves into the starting gate. Here comes Danceland into line, along with Into Summer. Last one in will be Tammet. 5-2 favorite right now is Caramana from post 1. As Tammet and Jose Ortiz come up to the outside stall, they step up and in. They're all in line. They're off. Over negotiate, had a good beginning. Into Summers flashing some speed too. Caramana's down on the inside. Colorful Charades is going up on the far outside. And then it's Proud Reunion followed by Tammet. After that, Enchanting Kitten, who's about 6 lengths off the lead. Defrock is next, and then comes Majestic Bonnie to the inside, Signal Path, and Danceland. So they race into that turn, and Karumana takes charge from the inside. It's going to set the pace here to over-negotiate, who sits back a length and 3/4 off the lead past a flashy opening quarter mile in 22.67 seconds. Then Colorful Charades on the outside. Into Summer is behind Horses, running in 4th and racing 4 from the front. And then it's Enchanting Kitten, Proud Reunion, Tammet on the far outside. Defrock is down toward the inside. Majestic Bonnie is next. Signal Path is only 6 lengths behind. And then Danceland, 47.09. They've eased the pace down here. Karumana and Joel Rosario, 3/4 of a length ahead of Over Negotiate. Colorful Charades is 3rd on the outside. Into Summer, 4th and down at the rail. Then Tammet on the outside of Proud Reunion. Enchanting Kitten is in between Horses. Defrock is on the inside, 5 lengths from the front. Signal Path, Majestic Bonnie, and still at the back is Danceland. Around the far turn, Karumana continues to lead the way. Over Negotiate is there. Tammet comes into the stretch 3 wide. Into Summer cuts the corner. Right behind them are Defrock and Proud Reunion to the outside. And from the back of the pack, Danceland has made up ground. It is in mid-pack. It is starting to close in, but needs a way through. Here comes Danceland splitting Horses. It is Over Negotiate. Danceland on the outside comes Proud Reunion. Karumana fights back, but it's going to be Danceland from last to first. Running down Over Negotiate, and then came Karumana and Proud Reunion. The final time was 1 minute 40.78 seconds.
Sharp final time here on the surf course in Danceland. Eric Consell for Shug McGahee gets the win.
Wow, she made a huge run from last to first. We can see her just closing from off the pace, trying to find a little bit of running room here and getting up just in the nick of time. We saw Tammet rallying from off the pace. We saw Over Negotiate staying in a perfect stalking trip, but she just had a very potent closing run. I thought a powerful performance actually from the 9-2 in the late stages. But Greg, she was a horse that I kind of, watching some of her previous races, she's a filly that looks like she loves to be covered up and then just explode down the stretch, and that's exactly the ride that she got today.
And we saw Eric Consell, Andy, working hard here down the stretch to just get up.
Well, the difference, I think, you talk about the 11 and 12 beforehand, 2 horses that needed to get inside position. The 12 never could get it. Now, Jose Ortiz was the best rider of the game, so in fact, he couldn't get it. It's just one of those things. But she had to make that premature move, while Eric was able to drift back and save ground in here and make that last move. And it's turned out there was enough pressure up front. The 1 and 7 both ran very well, but the 11 got a great ride by Eric and got it done.
Yeah, you make a great point there. Sometimes the first turn just makes the race, and the 11 was able to get covered up a little bit. And Gabby talking about, listen, this horse came from dead last, and when you look at the front runners basically in here, it was this 1 and 7 going at it. This is the only horse that was making up ground besides the 9 Proud Reunion. But Eric Consell did a good job. He had a lot of trouble. That was legit trouble last time out, and he turns the table on a couple of his runners in here, including the 1.
Yeah, Karumana's probably had enough of Danceland, had to deal with her in her debut. She got beat by her just by a neck, and now Danceland gets her again. Still to come, it is the Birdstone, and Turco Bravo looking for a repeat after winning on a sloppy racetrack last year. Trying to do it again. This time we'll have to do it on a fast main track. Doesn't come in with as sharp of form, but the Birdstone coming up next on Saratoga Live.
And they're off in New York, the premier state bred program in the United States. When you own a New York bred, your horse can run for more than $44 million in purses, restricted to registered New York breds. And the New York program pays awards to breeders, owners, and stallion owners when their New York breds finish first, second, or third at New York tracks. We have the quality.
Coda, they won't catch Monin. Monin wins the February stake.
You have the opportunity. New York breds, get with the program. The best program.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu, or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
That young man, a tremendous ride here to kick off this late pick 4 on Saratoga Live. Eric Consell for Shug McGahee, and Danceland starts things off $14.
And you know what? That was a very impressive performance because we saw Karumana and Over Negotiate. Those two horses were more forwardly placed, so it looked like the pace held together. And Danceland still made that last to first move. So moving forward, this is a pretty legitimate filly.
11-7, 1-9 in race 7. Let's send it downstairs. Maggie standing by with a Hall of Fame trainer.
And the trainer of Danceland and Shug. Danceland seems like a filly that, Gabby was just talking about how she was really the only one kind of flying at the end, where the pace seemed to hold together. And is that just her kind of maturing and figuring things out?
I think so, and I think Eric rode her really well today, too. The other day, he went wide, and he kind of came back kicking himself and said, I think I'd have had a lot better chance if I'd have stayed in there, but they were kind of coming back in my face. And so today with 11 posts, I said, just try to hold your position, and if you can save some ground. And I thought he did a really good job. But I think this is a filly that's got some potential as we go along, and today she showed even a lot more as fast as she was finishing.
And Eric Consell, to be fair, not a rider that you've used a lot, in years past, but fits this filly pretty nicely with a win in a second. Talk about your decision to use him in the first place.
Well, I guess it was time back. He was, she was going to be a big price and this and that, and so I think Gaffleon had ridden her, and Florida broke her maiden, and of course he wasn't around here, so that kid's come out in the morning and worked horses for me and this and that, so I thought he deserved a chance. And after he rode her the last time, Jose Ortiz came to me and said, ride that kid back on her, so which I thought was really nice on his part too. And so I'm really glad that to win a race with him and to see him ride that good of a race. But I think that Eric is really an upcoming young rider. He's light, he works hard in the mornings, and I think his future's in front of him.
And some nice camaraderie between him and Jose, that's for sure. And some camaraderie between you and Mr. Allen, Joe Allen. And, in the years past, he seems as though he's kept kind of his racing in Europe. Seems as though he's bringing them back to the States now, obviously campaigning Warfront as a signature stallion, too.
Well, the first winner I ever ran was for him in 1979 or 80 or something at Rockingham Park. But, I remember Mr. Phipps saying to him, said, Joe, they were friends, and Joe said, how can you enjoy running your horses in France? And so I think that's always kind of stuck in his mind, and he started to sort of ease them back. Some of the outfits over there had gotten kind of big, and, he's got them spread out a little bit here, but I've got, I think, 3 for him, and they're all 3 really nice fillies, 3.5. And they're all really nice fillies, so, Joe's a good guy. He's been a good friend of mine, through the years, and so I'm happy to have a little luck for him.
Well, you did it here today. Congratulations with Danceland, Shug.
Okay, thanks, Maggie.
All right, Greg. Danceland looking to have a little future.
Yeah, Shug has a nice one there, and this was a good field that she was able to beat. Don't forget that Naira Bets late pick 5. You can play it at NairaBets.com. And again, if you are the only winning ticket and you play through Naira Bets, $150,000 to you every day of the week, except on Saturdays when that is doubled to $300,000. But you got to play with Naira Bets to take advantage of that. First 2 legs in, double-digit numbers in races 6 and 7.
Not bad, huh? We're starting things off pretty nicely there.
How about that? And I think Shug McGahee, he might have taken a peek at our rundown, and on cue, he won race 7 for us, because we're going to talk a little Whitney. And back in 2015, it was Shug with honor code. Came from last to first, trailed by nearly 20 lengths when getting up to get Liam's map.
This was always a very, very fun horse to watch because he made that last to first move, and this was one of my favorite performances. Also, the Met Mile was one of his best performances, so he was true talent there.
This, of course, Frosted, second straight sweep of the Met Mile. Whitney, of course, honor code, as you mentioned, did it the year before. And then Frosted did it in 2016. This was an incredible performance, off his record-setting performance in the Met Mile.
Yeah, we were in all with his Met Mile win, and he came back with a very confident win in the Whitney.
Well, let's take a look at the contenders for this year's edition of the Grade 1 Whitney.
The usual QT's in there as well, but Goldakova's catching with each and every stride. Are we to see history this afternoon? Here's Paco Boy late, but no.
That obviously Goldakova is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame on Friday, who is one of my favorites of all time. But we're going to get to this contenders package coming up. We've talked about Gunrunner, and obviously he is the horse to beat. Let's look at him and some of the others who are gunning for him this Saturday. This Saturday's 90th running of the Grade 1 Whitney features a return to Saratoga of one of the top-rated thoroughbreds in the world and multiple Grade 1 winner Gunrunner. If there was any concern about how he'd return from his trip to Dubai, he put those questions to rest in the Stephen Foster.
And Gunrunner with gusto in the Stephen Foster wins for fun. 5 in the end.
Keen Ice vaulted back into the spotlight with his upset performance over one of the leaders of the handicap division, Shaman Ghost, in the Suburban.
Keen Ice by the 16th pole clear. Shaman Ghost left behind, and look at him run away. Keen Ice.
He returns to Saratoga, where he scored one of the greatest upsets this century when he defeated Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh in the Travers 2 years ago.
And here on the far outside comes Keen Ice with a late threat. American Pharaoh put away Frosted. He has to deal with Keen Ice. Keen Ice has got him. Keen Ice has won the Travers.
After chasing Arrogate to no avail to start off 2017, War Story returned to New York in June and enters the Whitney off one of the most impressive wins of his career in the Brooklyn at 1.5 miles.
War Story has taken the lead under Javier Castellano, and they're pulling away late. It is War Story, indefatigable, in the Brooklyn.
Two Brutus will try and score the upset for trainer Gary Contessa. The Chilean bred scored in his second start in the U.S., winning the flat-out stakes by 11 lengths.
And they have turned this into a romp. Two Brutus, the flat-out winner.
It's a compact but competitive field in this year's Whitney, but there's no doubt the race goes through Gunrunner. Well, that is a look at the field right there. 7-horse group that will line up on Saturday in an historic race, the 90th running of the Whitney 1 1/8 this Saturday right here at Saratoga. And Paul, it's a horse who was very, very good on the Triple Crown in Louisiana last year as a 3-year-old. But starting with a Clark at the end of last year, he's taken his game to a whole other level.
Yeah, he really has. In the day and age that we sort of have a lot of these horses retiring at this part of their careers or going to stud. Gunrunner now at age 4 has progressed and gotten better and better, at least for me. And you look at his PPs, and I know he might be a better horse on the front end, but the other times he sort of lost, he ran into a horse named Arrogate who set the track record. And the Stephen Foster last time out, I mean, he's just been a different horse as a 4-year-old. That's the bottom line. And he almost broke the track record here this day.
He's been absolutely terrific. I wonder if a wet track could be an Achilles heel for him if we get a little rain.
Well, you make a good point there. His only bad races on his home form is his wet track form. And you look at his other starts, he obviously lost. One of them was in the Haskell Invitational when he lost on a sloppy racetrack. But he ran a bang-up race against Connect. He ran a bang-up race against Tan Marcuse. He is getting better and better. And if you look at his workout tab, it's pretty darn good.
He's a heavy favorite for very good reason.
Well, of course, Todd Pletcher, Gabby, got Keen Ice back in the winner's circle. His shocking win here at the Travers when he beat American Pharaoh, Triple Crown winner back in 2015. He returns to the scene of the crime, and he's coming in top form.
You think of big races like the Dubai World Cup, like the Pegasus World Cup, like the Whitney, and he actually has always shown up at those big events. But little did I realize that he's only a 3-time winner, a maiden winner, a Travers winner, and in the Suburban last time out, which we'll take a look at. And he was successful here, but you really have to pay attention to, I think, 3 factors in why he was successful. A, we saw him get a pretty slow pace and him able to sit a little bit closer to the pace. B, it was a fantastic ride by Jose Ortiz to get him in that position at the quarter pole so he didn't have to close that far coming down the stretch. And also you have to consider that maybe Shaman Ghost didn't bring his A game that day, but he does. He's danced all the dances and he's going to get the right pace flow in front of him for his best or successful running style. And he's won at Saratoga, which I think is always a feather in the cap.
Yeah, meanwhile, someone's going to be trying Saratoga, Andy, for the very first time. War Story comes off a big win in the Grade 2 Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's an outsider in this race, no doubt about it. He is bringing along his rabbit, though, Cautious Giant, who will try to keep horses like Gun Runner as well as Two Brutus busy early. Might end up helping Keen Ice more than it helps War Story. But the truth is, Ron Palucci, who owns him, Luch Racing, is an entertaining character. I like characters. He and I have some fun on Twitter together. And the guy's a sporting guy. He wants to be involved in the big races. And listen, more people should be taking shots in races like the Whitney. There's no harm in losing this race. There's such enormous upside, Paul.
Him and Paul Redham should just have beers together, shouldn't they? I mean, I'm with you. I love the sportsmanship. And War Story could be getting better and better. I thought he was a one-turn horse for a long time, Andy, and he keeps proving me wrong. He proved me wrong in the Brooklyn. I didn't think he'd ever get that mile and a half, and he won the race pretty easy.
Yeah, he'll need a lot of things to go his way in this race, but, you know, I like the fact that they're playing around. I like that Breaking Lucky's connections are running this race instead of the Alydar. This is the Whitney. The good horses belong in the Whitney. Sometimes it's more important to take a shot in the big race than be in a race where you're a shorter price.
Yeah, and I think people see what happened Jim Dandy again in the San Diego, and you say, why not? You cannot win these races if you don't take a shot and you enter in them. So we will see what happens. It happens on Saturday, our TV coverage on Saratoga Live. We are on early on Saturday, 2:30 to 5 Eastern, with the Fasig-Tipton Lure Stakes and NBC coverage of the Test and Whitney. That happens from 5 to 6 Eastern. We're going to step aside for a timeout. The gold standard, Goldacova, entering the Hall of Fame on Friday. We'll have more on the class of 2017 next.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
We found Belmont Stakes winner Taprit at Fasig-Tipton, Saratoga. Where will you be in August?
Before Tepin conquered the world, she was a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sales graduate. Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
Back on Saratoga Live. Good to have you with us on this Thursday afternoon. Our feature race is coming up next here from the spa. The Birdstone, named after a horse who ended the Triple Crown bid of Smarty Jones back in 2004 at 36 to 1. Connections actually felt bad about it. They apologized to everyone after the race.
I think there are a lot of tears after this performance, but also a lot of excitement. That was one that definitely goes down in history.
And he was not done. He proved it was no fluke. There's another look here down the stretch. But it was the first Belmont win for Nick Zito, the native New Yorker, of course, after having 5 seconds in the race. There's a look at Edgar Prado. Prado as well apologized to everyone. This win they could relish a little bit more and didn't have to apologize for. The Travers, also a first for Nick Zito. And they were thinking about scratching if the thunderstorms came. Luckily, they waited until after the race.
Yeah, you can see it was a little bit dark coming down the stretch, but he actually trained into the Travers. He had a big, significant break there from the Belmont to the Travers, but an incredible horse indeed.
And, of course, after this, the rains would come. So Nick Zito and Mary Lou Whitney doing their rain dance, little Gene Kelly. Well, that was a tremendous moment, and so the thunderstorms would come. The rest of the card would be canceled, but Zito, Mary Lou Whitney got their Travers victory.
Got it in the nick of time, didn't they?
Oh, I like what you did right there. Nick Zito, well done. There's the resume of Birdstone. 5 for 9 career record. Major wins, of course, Travers, Belmont, and as a 2-year-old able to win the Champagne as well. And he's been pretty good at stud duty as well with Mind That Bird and Summer Bird. Race in his honor coming up as we get a look at the field right here, and hard study for Todd Pletcher right now is a 6-5 favorite. Of course, the defending champ right next door in Turco Bravo, but Gabby, he does not come in with nearly the form he entered in off last year.
He doesn't. So they do make a little bit of an equipment change to put the blinkers on, hopefully to get him out of the rut. And last time out, he was trying to close outside. It was a good outside track, so I thought that he was kind of with the track that day. But a big upgrade here with Javier Castellano back in the saddle. However, with the scratch of 2 Brutus, I think it hurts him a little bit here.
Meanwhile, Andy, hard study. He's 3 starts on a fast main track. He's won all 3 of them by a combined 13.5 lengths for Todd Pletcher.
It's interesting. There's 2 major players here, and the public has it right, Paul, between the 1 and 5. Hard study, however, unlike Scuba, is untested at the distance, and distance is such a big factor in this race.
It's a giant factor. You're right. He's got to go 1 3/4 miles today. He was giant 2 starts back. I thought he was okay last time. He had a brutal beginning. He has tactical speed. He looks like he's better over a fast racetrack. Obviously 3 for 3 over it, and he really hasn't caught many of them. He's only caught 2 in his last 10 starts.
Yeah, I don't think he ran bad last time. He ran to a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
I mean, the winner of that race, Seymour Dini, looks like a Grade 1 horse.
Yeah.
Of course, they're skipping the Grade 1 Forgo with him. They should be running. I just wonder, you just don't know. I mean, distance can be the great equalizer in these races, and you just don't know. Sometimes, though, you know by looking at them.
We have Jocks out here in the paddock for our feature Birdstone, and outside of Turco Bravo, the only horse that has experience going this distance is number 5 in here, Scuba. Now he's 3rd off of the layoff, and last time or 2 starts ago he did look as though he would need a race. He just didn't look quite as fit as he had in years past, but now he does look much more fit. The blinkers do go back on after that start up at Woodbine, so I like what I'm seeing from him. I just wish he had a little more energy here, Greg, as he is the 2nd choice.
Well, we know he can get the distance. There's a look at Todd Pletcher. He is the current favorite, talking with fellow Hall of Famer John Velasquez. What a team they have been over the last 20 years together. We have a new audience joining us as we get set for our feature coming up. Welcome to Saratoga Live, here from the premier race meet in the country. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Welcome to those watching on Altitude Network. Great to have you with us. The Birdstone is up next. It includes the defending champ, Turco Bravo, trying to go back-to-back. You can play along from home as you watch these races here on Saratoga Live. Bet 200 and you get 200 if you use the promo code PICK5. Go to NyraBets.com to get signed up and started, where you can get signed up all across the country and play over 200 racetracks nationwide. Also, if you hit the trifecta on your mobile device in the Birdstone Stakes coming up, you can earn a 10% winner's bonus. Check back tomorrow because NyraBets offers this trifecta winner's bonus on a Saratoga Stakes race every single day. NyraBets, the official betting site for Saratoga Racecourse. 6-5 favorite is Hard Study for Todd Pletcher with John Velasquez as we have our post parade here coming up. It's brought to you by OCD Pellets. celebrating their 10th anniversary of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, be sure to visit ocdpellets.com. So 6-5 here on Hard Study, and here he is, sent out by Todd Pletcher, owned by Paul Pompa Jr. with John Velasquez aboard.
Has really come to hand. A horse that was broke his maiden in a maiden claiming race, but improved dramatically for Todd Pletcher. He has to show he's proficient at today's extended distance.
The defending champ, Turco Bravo, for Winning Move Stable. Gary contested trainee Javier Castellano gets back aboard for the first time since this race last year when they won it on a sloppy racetrack.
You talk about him being the defending champ since then, 0 for 6 with no placings, and I'm wondering if this 8-year-old has seen his better days.
Lake Lonely Racing will send out the 3 Rum Tum Tugger. Jonathan Shepard and Julian Leperoux team up.
Jonathan Shepard had a long streak of wins at Saratoga snapped last year, trying to get back on track, but a turf horse in a dirt race, though he can handle the distance.
Scuba is the 5 for Dars Incorporated. Kender Carmouche rides for Brendan Walsh.
He is the co-favorite along with Hard Study. We know he can handle the distance. He just hasn't been as good in 2017 as 16.
Moonjaws for Shadwell Stable had his dirt debut in his last start for trainer Kieran McLaughlin. Joel Rosario rides.
Now he's going to get his blinker debut. This is a horse that was actually in the John Gosden yard way back in 2013 and 2014. So not a bad effort behind Small Bear, who was behind Outplay, a very nice horse last time out.
7 is Sea Raven for Gunpowder Farms. Nick Juarez rides for Kelly Rubley.
Another horse who's a question at the distance, has some talent, but really only somebody like Gabby Gaudette from the Mid-Atlantic states would like this horse.
We'll see if she likes this one. Chris Landeros rides Arca Nova for Ian Wilkes and Peter Edwards and Diamond M Stable.
Yeah, Chris Landeros aboard 17-1 on the son of Arch. 0 for 4 this year's run okay. Has the even running style to maybe like the distance at a price.
All right, well, Gabby, Hard Study, the 6-5 favorite right now. He's been very, very good when he's had a fast main track, but the great unknown, can he handle a mile and 3/4 coming up?
It is a question, but he's a very interesting horse, Greg, because he first started out against Maiden Special Weight Company on the turf. They transferred him to the main track against Maiden $40,000 Company, so he was facing the claiming level for several starts, even the starter allowance. So he really is a blue-collar horse in that he's gradually stepped up the ladder here. His victory 2 starts back, I thought it was a very savvy, very patient ride by Johnny Velasquez, and he's the horse to beat, but I don't think he should be 6-5. I think Scuba is a horse who has faced much better in the past.
Yeah, Andy, Hard Study is a horse. Let's remember, back in November, he won for 40 maiden claiming.
Yeah, you know, he's a nice horse, Hard Study. I can't knock him. I don't care what he did earlier. I don't care he ran maiden claimers. I only care, Paul, what he's doing now. What he's doing now is he's running races that are faster than these. But the distance is a big question. I have no knock on this horse, Hard Study, other than not knowing if he can get the distance. I picked him over the 5 because I don't like the 5's early recent form. But I don't disagree with Gabby. The distance makes him a bit of a dubious favorite over the 5.
Well, you make a good point. You got to understand this horse was in for 40, and you look at his 2-turn races at the Interdirt after he broke his maiden for 40, he struggled a tiny bit to break through that starter allowance condition. But as soon as he's turned 4, he has gotten a little bit better and stronger, and he's getting played today at 6-5.
Yeah, he is. And listen, I think he's kind of the horse to beat because of his recent form. But if Scuba, the 5, refines his form as we take a look at the gray, he's probably going to be better than the 1 because we know he can handle the distance, and last year he was running faster figures than the 1 was as well. He won the Breeders' Cup Marathon, is now sort of it's not a Breeders' Cup race, but it's run in Breeders' Cup weekend, and he won it this year.
Yeah, he did, and he was basically gate to wire. He beat a horse called Hard Aces, who won the Gold Cup at Santa Anita in 2015 and one of the weakest Gold Cups by a nose. Blue Tone, average type of horse, was 3rd in the San Gabriel, so okay horses, but, you know, the California distance horses, they struggle when they come out here. The dirt horses and the sprint horses do well. Same with the turf horses. So Scuba, to me, has at least a lot of bottom. What I do like about him, he runs well at different racetracks.
Well, he does that, but also he's a classic example, I think, of a horse, Paul, that really got better as the distances get longer. So he got a little bit better, and some of the horses aren't quite as good. I mean, distance is the biggest equalizer in racing, grass and dirt. We just run more distance races on turf than we do on the dirt.
You make a good point there. And, they made one race experience and taking the blinkers off. Does that worry you at all, Gabby? I know you like this horse, the 5. Does it worry you a little bit they took the blinkers off, tinkering with him, trying to get his form back?
No, you guys pose a good question in that what has he done in his lone 2 starts on the main track this year? And it looks like the argument could be posed that he's tailed off in those 2 starts. But I really do think that he's a better horse on the lead. And the dynamic of the race was completely changed with the scratch of 2 Brutus. Scuba was coming off of a layoff in the Ben Ali. He wasn't fast enough out of the gate to make the lead. After that, he ran into the buzzsaw performance of 2 Brutus, who wired the field. And his last race was on the synthetic, and he hasn't really run particularly amazing races on the synthetic before. So I primarily like this horse because I know he can handle the distance, and I think he's going to get back to the front running style where he's successful at.
There's a look at him, 9-5 here on the board. It looks like it is a two-horse race with more on the hard study, though. Let's check in with Maggie.
And he is the horse as of now. He is the now horse, Greg, and he looks it. Physically, he looks tremendous. I like his energy level, and I've always thought as though he's the horse who should be able to hand marathon distances. I was ecstatic when Todd Pletcher ran him that 1 1/8 distance going back, albeit it was over a muddy surface, so I'll have to forgive him for that. But I think the longer the better for this horse, and he just looks great. Now, as I turn my attention to your second choice, and sorry guys, I'm going a little bit out of order here, but Scuba. The problem with Scuba, the more I watch him here, as Andy was alluding to, he's not, at least on the racetrack in 2017, the same horse that we've seen in 2016. He just doesn't have that oomph. He doesn't have that energy level, that pizzazz that he had going back to last year. Now, Kendrick Carmouche is trying to wake him up out on the track. He broke away from the pony. This isn't out of the ordinary, but the fact that they took the blinkers off, that's something, you try to catch a horse with that element of surprise. They go back on. They're trying to wake him up here once again. I just think he's a horse that mentally, his head just isn't quite in the game. And the same thing for me goes with number 2, Turco Bravo. He's another horse that's just a lot more quiet in his demeanor. Just isn't, enthralled with his racing. Physically, they both look great. I can't fault him at all. The blinkers do go on Turco Bravo, just a very short cup on him. But I just feel as though the best races are behind both of these 2. But they are the ones that relish this distance. Quickly, I'll take a look at number 7 in here. That is Sea Raven. I think this horse looks fantastic. He loves Saratoga, as he is 2 for 4 over it. Granted, he has been training down at Fair Hill, but at least we know he handles the surface here. And he's a horse that, you kind of look at his pedigree, you look at his physical makeup, and he should be fine going 1 3/4 miles. He looks fantastic. Granted, he is a horse that every time I've seen him, he does look very good in the flesh, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. Well, Andy, if you're a backer of Scuba here, it's got to be a little disconcerting to hear from Maggie what she had to say.
Actually, like Paul's question about the blinkers, and I'm glad that Maggie addressed it because I disagree with Gabby about it. I think it is a problem. You see it also with Turco Bravo. They're putting blinkers on with him. They're getting a little desperate with him. He hasn't shown the same good form he showed in the past. And when you have a horse like Scuba that was as good as he was last year, he comes back this year, he's clearly not the same, and they get kind of desperate and take the blinkers off. It doesn't work. Now they put him back on. The 2 is taking the blinkers, putting them on. It just smacks a little bit of desperation. Not that these horses can't win, Paul, but I just think there's a little desperation in these moves.
Yeah, and when you make a great point with Scuba, what's the reason you take a blinkers off on a horse is to get the horse to relax, to get the distance. Well, he's already gotten 1 1/4 miles before. He's gotten 1 3/4 miles. We showed the backtrack there. So that's the worry. When you get to the 6, Moon Jazz, it is a gamble here. When you play these horses that run well on an off-the-turf event, and no way is he even bred for it. He ran okay. He ran behind Small Bear. Was he even a factor in the race? He was a nose clear of the 4th-place finisher. But I think he was good enough that he can maybe make a factor in here.
Oh, I'll give you a scenario. Let's just say this is the case. You know he wants the distance. He's not, as you say, he's probably not good enough in the dirt, but maybe the distance helps a little bit. He can handle it. Let's just say the 2 can't really run anymore, the 5 can't really run anymore, and the 1 can't get the distance. He's not the craziest sort of alternative to those horses because, yeah, there are a lot of ifs involved, but they're also realistic ifs.
They're realistic ifs, and when you look at this field, they're all grinders. So, okay, that's going to happen at 1 3/4. The one's probably more tactical. And when you get to the 7, Sea Raven, I'm not a fan of that horse with you as well. I know Gabby thinks the horse is okay, but I thought that race fell apart a little bit, and maybe the 3 3/4 does help him because he does have the best finish of these horses, at least going shorter distances.
Well, I'll give another one that Gabby can answer. The 1 and 5, the 2 favorites, aren't they both going to be forwardly placed in here? Is it possible they get in each other's way?
We very well could see that happen, Andy. So hard study, I think, with the added distance, he probably will be forwardly placed. But I can imagine they're going to get aggressive with Scuba coming out of the gate. Kendrick Carmouche is back aboard him. We've seen Kendrick be a very aggressive rider everywhere he goes. He's been on the horse before, and he probably knows he does his best running on the lead.
Yeah, with Kendrick aboard, blinkers on, it seems like it's probably send for Scuba. Birdstone, our feature coming up, but it's hard study for trainer Todd Pletcher, who's the favorite. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of the Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
Moonjaws moving into line. Hard study right now at 6-5 as Moonjaws steps forward. Here's Sea Raven, and that will leave Archinova and Chris Landeros to come up to the outside stall to complete the line here. Going in. They're all in line. They're off in the Birdstone. Hard study in Turco Bravo came out well. Rum Tum Tugger is close. There goes Scuba. There goes Archinova from the outside. And now these two are going to take the initiative. And now Archinova will take the lead from that far outside post. Scuba a bit hard to handle on the outside second. Hard study third on the inside, and right behind them is Turco Bravo along with Sea Raven, who's going up on the outside, then Rum Tum Tugger, and Moonjaws is last as they settle into order here, just 4 lengths from top to bottom. 25.77 the opening quarter mile in the nascent stages here of this 14 furlong trek. Archinova is the leader. Scuba to the outside is alongside in second, while Moonjaws comes into the stretch 3 wide, and Sea Raven is behind horses. Hard study is nearest the inside, just 2.5 lengths off the lead. Again, they're a very tight pack here. Turco Bravo is second to last, and Rum Tum Tugger is biding time at the back of the field under Julien Leparoux, racing 7 lengths off the lead with a lap to go. So it's Archinova and it's Scuba, and these are the two passing the finish line with one more time around. Moonjaws is next. The half was 51.09 seconds, moving for the clubhouse turn. And then it's hard study on the inside. Oh, Moonjaws just went very wide there. And Moonjaws, something's gone wrong here. He's being pulled up out of the race. Moonjaws being pulled up on that clubhouse turn. So it's Scuba and it is Archinova. These two together, they went 3/4, 1:15.56 seconds. And they'll head on to the backstretch with Scuba now taking charge from Archinova. And then it's Turco Bravo making a move on the outside of Hard Study now, up into third and edging toward the pacemaker. Then Rum Tum Tugger and Sea Raven. And again, pulling up on that clubhouse turn was Moonjaws. So up the backstretch they go. And it is Scuba, the gray on top here, and in the clear by 2. Hard Study has made progress up into second, Archinova's third. Turco Bravo follows in fourth, 4.5 lengths off the lead, clear of Rum Tum Tugger, who's being ridden to keep up, and Sea Raven is last. Half mile to go. Scuba to catch as they make their way for the far turn. It's a 2-length lead. John Velasquez in Hard Study, still second now, and he's starting to pump on Hard Study, wants a bit more. Scuba's got a 2-length lead under Kendrick Carmouche here. John Velasquez asking everything now for Hard Study, but he's getting closer. Turco Bravo's a wide third and Archinova on the inside, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. And Scuba's been taken on now by Hard Study. Scuba digs in. Hard Study runs at him. And they are stride for stride with a furlong to run. They're nose to nose here. Hard Study on the outside to the front. Scuba battles him from the rail, but Hard Study's got it, and he's starting to pull away. Scuba will be second as Hard Study drifts out with the lead, and Hard Study wins the Birdstone. Scuba second, Archinova was third, and then Turco Bravo.
Hard Study guts it out. A little erratic here in the stretch. Wins at even money. We saw Moonjaws pulled up in the race, Andy.
I can understand why the horses were a little tired late. I was tired watching the race. It was one of those races. But, you know, John Velasquez, he got into the right spot. He sat in the right sort of tuck spot. He almost rode a little like a turf race. The old Scuba, Paul, would never have lost this race. And I just think in this particular case, it just seems like Hard Study is the right horse, the right time.
Yeah, Scuba tried his heart out. You could see when Carmouche hit him right-handed, he side-spun the horse. He was so tired, and he battled. I thought he ran so well. He got a little rank early, but you made a good point. Kendrick was trying to get him outside of the pace setter, Arcanova. He didn't want to be inside, and Hard Study just sort of wore him down. Hopefully everything goes okay with Moonjazz. He looked like he took a bad step and ducked in on that first turn, and just sort of Joel Rosario took care of him, hopefully.
And guys, I will admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about Scuba. This is not the Scuba that we were seeing last season, so clearly he has tailed off as we saw that Hard Study, well, he's on the upward trajectory at even money. And a little bit of bumping action coming down the stretch, but Hard Study, he proved that he could get the distance. He had enough stamina in him.
I think Scuba was the one coming out. You're seeing it there.
Yeah,
Scuba was coming out. It wasn't Hard Study doing anything. Scuba was a little tired.
Yeah, he was. He was trying.
1-5-8-2, and after a mile and 3/4, yeah, every right to be a little bit weary after this one. John Velasquez looks like he's a little tired himself. Hard Study gets the win at even money in the Birdstone. We're going to take a break in the action when we come back on Saratoga Live. A 5-time National Steeplechase Association leader in wins, the late Tom Voss, part of 2017's Hall of Fame class. We'll be back.
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
This 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and horse of the year Up With the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Runner-up in the Grade 1 Manhattan and Shadwell Turf Mile, Ironicus ran 7 triple-digit buyers, including this score in the Fort Marcy Stakes. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by Distorted Humor. Ironicus at Claiborne Farm.
Back here on Saratoga Live, it was Hard Study and Scuba going at it down the lane, and in the end, Hard Study pulls away for the win.
He did, and we saw Scuba just fade a little bit late, tried to have that stamina to keep on going on, but Hard Study proved best coming down the stretch there.
I would imagine John Velasquez blowing hard a little himself after that mile and three-quarter win. He's standing by with Maggie.
Ironically, he's not at all. He said he's not even tired here, Greg. That just goes to show you what an athlete you are, Johnny. But talk us through riding a mile and three-quarter race. I mean, how do you prepare? How do you kind of see things unfolding in front of you?
Well, I'm going to tell you something that I didn't even know. I found out in the gate that Irad's horse was scratched. I didn't have my homework. So when I saw that, I got to change my complete homework and make sure I follow Kendrick. You know, once I did that, you know, I was pretty comfortable where he was doing it. As soon as we passed the wire for the first time, I see where he was, and I make sure I was close enough that he didn't get away from me too easly. And by the 3/8 pole, I had to pick up my horse and make sure I let him know that he needed to run. He kind of takes a long time to get him going. But once I got him going to the quarter pole, I know I was comfortable where I had him, and I see Kendrick was riding his horse. I was like, well, at least I think I have him. And he put a good fight down the lane.
He did. He did get a little tired, though. But it was his first asking going a mile and three-quarters, and he responded well. And it's a horse that Todd certainly brought up from kind of modest roots.
You know, to tell you the truth, I mean, he's only running mile and 1/8, I think. I don't think he has gone any farther than that. So, I mean, for him to hold on in there all the way around and put a good fight, I'm very proud of him.
And Johnny, with the Hall of Fame tomorrow, you were inducted in 2012. Javier Castellano, a guy that you've been in the room with a lot. Can you talk about how it feels to get inducted to the Racing Hall of Fame?
It's incredible. You know, it's a goal that every jockey or every trainer or every owner would like to have. And Javier, very proud of him, and very proud of the three riders who got in, actually. I had the pleasure to ride with all three of them. Great guys, great personalities, and great riders as well. And I'm actually introducing Javier as well, me and Ramon. So it's a very unusual way, you know, to introduce a fellow rider that I'm still riding. I'm very proud that he chose me and Ramon, so very happy for that.
That's really cool, and pleasure to watch. Hope we get to see that tomorrow. Johnny, congratulations on the Birdstone.
Thank you very much.
All right, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. That's why John Velasquez is a Hall of Famer. If I missed something and didn't do my studying, I usually failed all my tests.
It's easy peasy for Johnny V there, but you just see the tremendous athleticism that he has. Just not breathing hard whatsoever. I would be. I can tell you that.
Birdstone winner, Hard Study. Now a perfect 4 for 4 over a fast main track. Want to remind everyone, the New York Racing Association, proud to present the most comprehensive Spanish language broadcast available, with Luis Grandison providing race calls and pre-race analysis. It's all available on the NYRA Now app and all in HD. Here's Luis on the call with Camelot Kitten from the Hall of Fame last year at Saratoga.
Y Jeff Fosa van presionando a Giant Runner, que se sigue defendiendo. Giant Runner mantiene 3/4 de cuerpo en el comando. Camelot Kitten en bala. En el medio está Jeff Fosa. Camelot Kitten y Jeff Fosa van avanzando hacia el pugnando. Camelot Kitten, una cabeza contra Jeff Fosa. Camelot Kitten, una cabeza contra Jeff Fosa. Llegando Camelot Kitten. Con Irak Ortiz, se gana el National Museum of Racing.
Well, that was last year's edition, and that was a meet, of course, where it seemed like Chad Brown won every single flat stakes race at the meet.
And he has been doing well so far here, too. I mean, we were only a couple of racing days into the meet, but he's coming out with all guns blazing so far.
Hall of Fame is, of course, tomorrow. We'll preview that race a little bit later on, coming up in the Showtime right now for what's trending in horse racing and the talk around town right now. The court set for tonight's free admission basketball all-star game at 6:30 p.m. Jocks against the trainers. You gonna be there?
I will not, sadly. I heard Todd Pletcher is actually a coach.
Oh, okay.
I think he's coaching the team, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he coaches just as good as he trains.
By the way, our own Mitch Levitas will be on the microphone calling the action tonight.
Oh, I'll go just for that.
I know. That's worth admission as well. Jockeys, Horsemen, there it is again. Jockey autographs on Saturday, and it all benefits old friends as well.
And a great organization to give back to.
At Toga Trackside tweeted tomorrow, see the greats of racing at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's at 10:30 a.m., free admission, and it is hosted by former track announcer here, Tom Durkin. You can get social with us here. Those are all our Twitter handles, and be sure to use the hashtag Saratoga Live to get social with all of us. The class of 2017 inducted on Friday afternoon. Victor Espinosa, Javier Castellano, the late Garrett Gomez, Gogo, and of course Goldakova, part of the class going into the hall. Here's more on the immortality of these greats in racing.
And the other filly running a big one, and Kipteville the grey. Kipteville is let loose, but Goldakova goes through in the rail.
In the late 2000s, few fillies were feared as much as Goldakova.
And what a brilliant filly is this! Goldakova in an awesome effort.
With 3 consecutive victories in the Breeders' Cup Mile, Goldakova was admired by many, including her competition.
The last time we ran against her, I believe it was at Churchill. I think she almost ran over the top of us when she was looking for room and kind of pushed our horse right out of the way. But you know, it takes a pretty strong filly to do that, and what she did, she was had a very quick turn of foot. I mean, she could really haul a mail.
The 2-time Eclipse Award winner dazzled in the States and dominated in Europe as well, winning a total of 11 Group 1 races in France and England. Adaptability and versatility could be used to describe the champion mare. The same could be said about 4-time Eclipse Award-winning jockey Javier Castellano. Castellano added another classic win to his heady resume this year, winning his 2nd Preakness aboard Cloud Computing.
Goes alongside. They come to the finish together. Noses apart. Cloud Computing has defeated Classic Empire and the Preakness.
Even in a highly competitive environment, his peers know he belongs among the greats.
Right from the beginning, he had obviously great talent, but very ambitious. Wanted to learn, wanted to do things the right way. Great personality, and a great jockey. I see him, his career growing so fast and so quick. Into right now. But great guy to ride, very respected.
For years, Victor Espinosa has accumulated major Grade 1 victories, but solidified his Hall of Fame induction in 2015.
And here it is. The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won the Triple Crown.
In addition to taking down the Triple Crown, he guided both War Emblem and California Chrome to Kentucky Derby and Preakness victories in 2002 and 2014.
You can ask any of these guys that rode with him. He was just, he's one of the ones. He will be remembered as such an elite jockey here 10 or 15 or 20 years from now. It's just special, a special guy and a special rider.
Beginning in 1988, Garrett Gomez built an illustrious career not only from coast to coast, but also on an international level. Gomez won a total of 13 Breeders' Cup races, including the infamous upset of undefeated champion Zenyatta with Blame and the 2010 Breeders' Cup Classic. Gomez will join this year's class of Hall of Fame inductees posthumously.
I had gotten word a couple days before it was announced, and I couldn't be any happier and more proud of. I just wish that he was standing there, because that and the Derby were kind of 2 of his big goals, and I just wish he was there to accept it.
Garrett Gomez, greatly missed, and he was always so kind to everyone, whoever talked to him at the racetrack. Tremendous talent. 13 Breeders' Cup wins, 2-time Eclipse Award winner. He's part of that 2017 Hall of Fame class.
And just listening to Ron Anderson talk about Garrett Gomez, really talking to multiple people talking about Garrett Gomez, he was just such a highly respected individual, as are all of those who are being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. So it's a pretty impressive list going in.
Yeah, including in the steeplechase category as well, the late Tom Voss, who was a 5-time leader in terms of victories among steeplechase trainers. He won 394 steeplechase races over the course of his career. And of course, John's Call New York fans know him well here at Saratoga, won the Grade 1 Sword Dancer, the Grade 1 Turf Classic with that 9-year-old back in 2000.
Tom Voss was an incredible trainer, and not only did he have success with John's Call in his racing career, he actually retired to be the stable pony after his career, and Tom Voss rode him around in the morning, and he actually was out in the afternoon too as an outrider pony. So very, very impressive list there with notable wins, and crazy the amount of steeplechase victories that he won too.
He's part of that class of 2017, the late Tom Voss and the late Garrett Gomez, joining Victor Espinosa, Javier Castellano, and the rest of those who will be inducted. And you can head there Friday morning and be part of the festivities. We're going to take a break. Arklow looked like a potential turf star after a surface switch. Then came the Belmont Derby. We'll preview the Hall of Fame next.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
We found Belmont Stakes winner Taprit at Fasig-Tipton, Saratoga. Where will you be in August?
Before Tepin conquered the world, she was a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sales graduate. Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2, MSG Plus, and Altitude Network. Our feature in the books. It was won by Hard Study in the Birdstone. Up next in Impossible. 9th race here. 5.5 furlong sprint over the turf. Entry-level allowance. And, Gabby, we thought Runaway Posse would be a major player in this race after a very intriguing running line in his last start. And he was 10-1 morning line. He's actually the favorite right now.
Well, you and I saw his last trip. It looks like everybody saw his last trip, but needless to say, this is a great betting race.
And we'll show you that last out effort from Runaway Posse in just a few moments here. Right now, we're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
And boy, I could not agree more with Gabby. This is a great betting race, and there's a lot of different angles and a lot of prices that we could possibly work into with this 5.5 sprint on the turf. We'll check in with a horse who is really just the one who caught my eye the most, and I think fits very well given the conditions, and that is number 5, Seas for Christophe Clement. He is fast. We'll see if he does secure the lead. I think there's some other horses that might be a little bit faster than him, but he looks tremendous here. To me, he just looks like the one that you want and you want to use here in this 9th race. Next, we'll move on to one making his stateside debut. That's number 4, Dream Mover, for trainer Jimmy Jerkins. And this is a guy who's been competing pretty much primarily almost all the time at the 7/8 distance. To me, 5.5, looking at him as he is a very long body type, might be a little bit on the short side. He looks great. Jimmy's horses always tend to. They always look super healthy, and he looks fairly fit, but I just feel as though this might be just to kind of test the waters, see where he fits, and maybe we'll see him back at Belmont going, you know, the 7/8 or that one-turn kind of mile that we can run there. Next, I want to check in with a long shot, and he has every right to be. And that's number 10, Skylar's Scramjet, son of Creative Calls. And I have thought from the get-go that this guy might like the turf. He also returns as a new gelding, and I like what I'm seeing from him. I like him trying the turf at this 5.5 distance. He's a horse that, at least in his first race, showed some promise. Obviously, there may have been some issues with him, or he's just been, you know, trying to find an identity. I still think there's a bit of an engine in there with this guy, and I want to take a look at him and use him at a kind of bomb type of price. That's for sure, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. Let's get back to Runaway Posse as we see riders up here coming up in a moment. This was last time out, and you see how far back he was. Sorry, this was 2 back, and makes a big, big run here, Gabby.
And Dylan Davis was aboard this particular day, and this is a horse, you have to well time his move closing from off of the pace. He's clearly a closing sprinter, and that's what's key for him, but he really did get into some serious trouble right here. Greg, he comes out of 2 very troubled trips and his most recent starts, but is he a horse that consistently finds trouble as a closing sprinter?
Yeah, you can make that argument. Maybe he does find a lot of his own trouble. Andy, I mean, you could see just had all kinds of issues here in this race.
He did have trouble in there, but I think that Dylan was doing the right thing and waiting with him. To be honest with you, the one I actually like more out of this race is Whiskey 7, because I actually think he was taken out of his game by being too close to the pace, and I think Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz have learned from that, and they're going to drop back with him more in this race. Runaway Posse, Gabby's right, Paul. He has a very short burst. He had a short burst going 7 furlongs in this race. I just used a little early.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you look at the last backtrack and you tell your Danny Gargan tells Irad, keep him clear. Now watch this move. If everybody remembers the 2-year-old champion Arazi, it looked a little bit like this. But, I mean, this horse goes from about 8th to 1st in a split second.
I was watching this at home and thinking, well, I know poor Runaway Posse's not going to win this race. Gabby, you can't take a short burst horse and make your move at the 3/8 pole.
Exactly. He moved at the 3/8 pole, and then we also saw the pace kind of falling apart in front of him, that huge middle move, and then flattened out. But we saw this race actually fall to those 2 horses that did make that last move into the pace. He just needs a well-timed move. He needs to be patient, and he's going to get the pace flow that he wants in front of him today, unlike last time, hopefully.
The other part he needs a break. That's been his issue. He breaks flat-footed a little bit.
Yeah, he also, listen, he's a bad bet at 3-1, to be honest with you. I would never pick him at 3-1.
I singled him, but I would never bet him at 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, you're fine because of your play. It's not it's a different
Exactly.
situation. It's 5.5 runs well. He lost to some good horses last time as well. The horse who ran second in there had finished actually 4th in the English Guineas last year and caught a soft turf. And the horse who won the race was a Christophe Clement horse, a promising horse off a maiden win. He's okay, but just 3-1. You know, I saw him 10-1 morning line. I thought it was a good gamble. Not at this price.
I'm with you. 2 back, you know, Gray Fox won an okay race up north at Woodbine. I thought I was going to get 9-2, not 3-1.
Yeah, it's a bit of a short price. And there's other horses near there dangerous. I mean, I know you think Seas is a threat to Wildfield. I don't like Seas, but you do, Paul.
Well, I think his races, he needed it last time out, so I think he's going to hang around a little bit longer today.
Post parade coming up here for a wide open 9th race here. 5.5 furlong sprints on the turf. We're going to start things off with the remaining half of the entry here. 25-1 on Iron Main for trainer Wesley Ward.
I tell you what, the Sons of Factor have really relished on the turf course. 1 for 3 over it, but this gray is going to have to improve today at 25-1.
The 2 gets the rail. That's Lord of Love for trainer John Hertler. Javier Castellano in the irons for GZ Stable.
Hasn't managed to win this year nor last year, but maybe Javier Castellano will get him off the duck.
Whiskey 7, Jose Ortiz aboard for Linda Rice.
The red-hot Linda Rice. And a horse that probably was up a little bit too close last time. I think he's going to lay back and make 1 run today.
State's debut for the 4, Dream Mover out of the Jimmy Jerkins barn with Junior Alvarado.
Was sprinting overseas. This distance might be a little bit short for him, but Jimmy Jerkins and Team Valor, highly respectable connections.
The Speedster Seas has Joel Rosario aboard for Christophe Clement.
Speed and fade last time out from the 8-hole. I think it will be a little bit tighter today. That was off a long layoff.
Runaway Posse, the 7 here for Danny Gargan. 1 of 2 he has in the race. Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
I really feel he's the one to beat. You look at his last 2 races, a ton of trouble, but his one problem is himself.
Here's Polar Access, 2013 Fasig-Tipton New York bred yearling sales grad for Nick Esler. Paco Lopez aboard.
He looks like a horse that's most effective on the lead, but will have to duke it out on the front end with other probable speeds.
It took blinkers off last start. He went gate to wire for the win. There's a look at the 9, Curious Cow, the other Danny Gargan runner. Second time on the turf, Manny Franco rides.
No pun intended, but a Curious runner is right in here because this horse is trying turf. The lone turf start was nothing, but that was a long time ago, and he might be better now, and he's 10-1.
40-1 shot Skylar Scramjet for Michael Moreno. Luis Reyes rides.
We'll have to hope for an improvement with the surface change.
And we backtrack here to the 6 here. Banana Thief, I thought was interesting in here for trainer Steve Asmussen. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
Very interesting. Came off the layoff last time out at 7-8. It's a good primer for the cutback.
Pop the Hood, the 11. Angel Arroyo aboard for Rodrigo Ubillo.
And 2 back won a nice race over a sloppy racetrack, and that was an off-the-turf event. He's been trying to get on the turf, just no success.
And Al Stahl trains the 12, Hold Me Black, Julian Leperoux for GMB Racing.
Comes off a victory last time out, albeit on the dirt, but a sneaky troubled trip at Churchill on the turf 2 starts back.
4 minutes to post in a wide open turf sprint. We'll have it live for you coming up right after this. When we come back, we'll also talk the Hall of Fame on Friday and Yoshida. Can he bounce back? We'll return.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Back on Saratoga Live, getting set for race 9. Coming up, I want to remind everyone to keep playing with NyraBets after the Saratoga card ends with a 250,000 point all split on the 5th at Del Mar. Just bet a $10 base exacta In race 5 at Del Mar, and win or lose, split 250,000 points. An easy way to get your Del Mar betting off to a great start. We still got unfinished business, though, here at Saratoga. And Gabby, Dream Mover, the 4. What do we do with this runner here debuting in the U.S. for Jimmy Jerkins?
It's always difficult to kind of predict the class or the class of the fields that he was facing overseas. Now, I will say, though, looking at some of his performance overseas going the mile in 7/8, he found himself more forwardly placed. So I would imagine sometimes, actually, we see horses who show some speed overseas. They don't always translate that to North America. So this is Dream Mover actually closing down on the inside. And he's been a good horse. These are wicked connections that you have to respect. And my question actually for Andy would be, he's 5-1 right now on the board. What do you make of his odds right now, and how does that reflect his chances here?
Well, and Paul and I were talking about it off camera. I mean, I think it's very important he's getting bet in this race.
100%
And
live,
as
yeah.
you hit on, and we talked about, this is Team Valor. I mean, Barry Irwin's a very sharp guy, and I don't even care what the horse's PPs look like, to be honest. These are sharp guys. It's Jimmy Jerkins. He's getting bet. You have to use this horse at least defensively.
This horse breaks, and I don't have this horse. I'm in trouble because you could just tell. Gabby makes a great point. You look at the PPs, track leaders, early to lead. The worry that you have with a lot of European imports is the gate. They usually break slow first time here in the United States. That could be the undoing for the 4. If he breaks, the way they're betting him, he looks like he might be ultra tough. He looked good on the racetrack. See a lot of 7s on there with Runaway Posse. We're all going to jump on that train.
I think there are other horses here. I don't think Lord of Love is impossible. He gets a switch to Javier Castellano. I know he never wins, but I don't think it's impossible to either get a piece.
And Gabby, it looks like we're going to have plenty of pace in this race, too.
Absolutely. And we have the likes of Season here, who seems like a horse who's done better forwardly placed. But there are outside horses like Polar Axis, Curious Cow, Iron Mane that will show speed, too.
Real quick, as they load up, let's get a final thought from Maggie.
Just a final thought here on that European invader here for trainer Jimmy Jerkins. That is Dream Mover. He was wearing cheek pieces in that European effort that we saw. He's not wearing them today. I mean, they're a type of equipment that you don't necessarily have to declare. They don't go on the form. So that's interesting. And the other horse that I thought was interesting here is number 9, Curious Cow. He looks better than the last time I seen him. He runs a great race for Danny Gargan. Immediately switches him to turf. I noticed this horse has bad feet. He has glue on shoes. He has Equilox. So turf can be a little kinder to horses' feet, Greg.
It's a 9-horse, the other Danny Gargan runner. He also has the current favorite, the 7 Runaway Posse. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call. Race 9, Saratoga.
Runaway Posse and Arad Ortiz Jr. taking their positions in the starting gate. Hold Me Black will take the outside stall now and complete the line under Julian Leparoux. Right now the favorite Runaway Posse at 3-1. They're all in line. They're off. Seas goes right out to the early lead. Curious Cow's got speed. Polar Axis between them. Rushes up and takes over up the backstretch. And then it's Iron Mane away running in 4th position. Followed by Pop the Hood on the outside. Banana Thief is down toward the rail. Skylar Scramjet is next. Hold Me Black on the far outside. And then comes Whiskey 7 followed by Dream Mover. And then Runaway Posse and Lord of Love. 22.27 was the first quarter for Polar Axis, who leads the way by a neck. Over Curious Cow as Pop the Hood ranges up alongside of those two. Now 3 of them across the track, and having to steady in mid-pack there with Skylar Scramjet had to take up. Hold Me Black comes into the stretch 4 wide. Cutting the corner is Seas as they come to the top of the stretch. Banana Thief is right behind horses 2. Dream Mover is on the far outside. Into the final furlong. Hold Me Black strikes the front with 1/8 of a mile to go. Curious Cow on the inside. On the far outside, Dream Mover. And finishing well from the back of the pack is Lord of Love, but it's going to be Dream Mover. Dream Mover to win it. And then it was Hold Me Black, followed by Banana Thief and Lord of Love in 1 minute 1.44.
Dream Mover States debut, and yeah, this one can run a little bit for Jimmy Jerkins.
Yeah, this is hindsight, right? When you look at the board and you see a horse that's coming from Europe in a sprint race, not many of these horses get fancied at the window, but this horse was getting bet and broke sharply, was always on the pace. See the white face on the outside, and Junior Alvarado, heady ride here, swung him outside. The race was over here, Andy.
Yeah. Well, we talked before the race. These are sharp connections. His horse was live, and he was a little closer. The 7 made his move. He had no excuse in here.
No excuse.
Both the 7 and 2 just couldn't quite finish it up. They got a fast pace. They had their chances, Gabby.
Now, Runaway Posse was probably carrying too much weight between the three of us there coming down the stretch. But, no, this was an excellent performance from Dream Mover. We saw him actually break okay for a North American debuter. And coming down the stretch, he rated very patiently. He did everything you wanted to see in a horse. And it was curious to see when he was going a mile and 7/8 overseas, he was pretty forwardly placed. He would fade. It looked like he didn't want to go that far, but today it seemed like the 5.5 furlongs was his cup of tea.
My pick 4 is alive. Unfortunately, my pick 5 needed Avery Mauve, who took that ridiculous beat and probably should have been placed first to start the Naira Bet slate pick 5.
Yeah, and you guys, it was a tough beat as well, but Dream Mover does get the job. And Homie Black ran very well for second here.
I had a 4-6 exacta box, so this is a great result for me. Unbelievable.
4-12-6-2 as we take another look here coming down the stretch. Maggie, did you have something to say here?
It's a horse I liked, but Joel Rosario was never able to ride number 5 season here, guys. He was blind switched the whole way down the stretch. He finally gets clear late. He was just way too far back at that point. And 2, I saw the horse gallop out in front. So I know I'm a little bit biased by the bad trip, but Joel was really never, ever able to ride Seas and give him kind of a fair shot. So maybe a horse to take a look at next time. Greg?
Well, it's Dream Mover who gets the job done. The 12 horse did run very good in here, Hold Me Black. But look at this 4 to the outside with Junior Alvarado. That white blaze and the red cap. And Junior going to work with that left-handed stick. Gets the job done here at 6-1 here in race 9. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back with prices here from the 9th. Again, 4-12, 6-2 finish here in the 9th. We'll be back to preview the Thriller from Manila. It was the top 3 finishers all coming back out of this race for the Hall of Fame Stakes on Friday. We'll preview it next.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. With his much-anticipated first foals hitting the ground this year, the sky is the limit for this promising young stallion, Lee, at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2, MSG Plus, and Altitude Network. Good to have you with us on this Thursday afternoon from Saratoga. Dream Mover, what a debut here in the U.S. for trainer Jimmy Jerkins.
Jimmy Jerkins and Team Valor International, they definitely know how to win with a few horses here, but got a perfect setup today and a couple of horses to maybe watch moving forward with some trouble trips too.
Well, found a good one here, and Barry Irwin's found a lot of good ones over the years for Team Valor. He's with Maggie.
And I talked to Barry, and he said, I'm stunned, Barry, about the 5.5 distance with Dream Mover.
Yeah, I thought it would be too short for him. I think of him as being 7/8 to a mile. He trained great, but I just couldn't see it happening. So.
And your decision to bring him over here with trainer Jimmy Jerkins, he was with very capable hands and Marco Botti, but you're a guy who campaigns your horses around the world, but decision to move Dream Mover to the States.
Well, all of our horses, eventually, we want them to come here. And he was a good horse over there, but you can't make any money running over there with that kind of horse. And he's running for chicken feed, and here this is an $80-something thousand purse. It's hard to not want to come here.
And talking with your trainer, Jimmy Jerkins, was he kind of confident in bringing him back off the layoff?
Yeah, he was a hell of a lot more confident than I was.
It helps. When the trainer's confident, you feel pretty good. And Barry, congratulations. It looks as though you have a pretty nice one.
Yep, thank you very much.
All right, it's all about Dream Mover, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Pretty sharp final time, too. 101-2 for the 5.5 furlongs.
Yeah, and considering that Barry said that he didn't think, or Jimmy Jerkins didn't think that he wanted to go that short, I think moving forward, they've got a pretty talented runner on their hands.
Late pick 5 follow-up to Naira Betts. Late pick 5. And our shortest price, well, we had an even money favorite with Hard Study. Outside of that, it's been tough to come up with.
It's been tough, but a couple of those horses were pretty logical. But Hard Study, probably a nice win if maybe a single in a couple of people's tickets there. But interesting sequence so far. And the nightcap is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. Wide open finale coming up, and Andy Serling, his pick 4, still alive to 2 horses, the 2 and the 8. So we'll see how that plays out coming up. Gonna take a break. Javier Castellano, I talked to him the other day. He's already written the speech. He says he just doesn't want to cry at his induction into the Hall of Fame.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back here on Saratoga Live, we still have the nightcap coming up here on this Thursday afternoon at Saratoga. Friday, of course, Hall of Fame inductions and the running of the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame itself. And Andy Serling, top 3 finishers of the Manila, all coming back to do battle against each other.
Yeah, I mean, the question is twofold. Will Big Handsome, who clearly is going to be aggressively ridden this race and likely to try to wire the field, will he be able to get the 2 turns in the mile and a 16th? And will Big Handsome, who drew well on the rail, be able to work out the same kind of trip? I am dubious of Big Handsome being able to get the mile and a 16th, though these are very firm turf courses, and I think he might be able to do it on this turf course. I think the Bricks & Mortar is the better horse, and he's going to get better as they go longer. I believe he's the horse to beat, but I think both of them are major players, Paul.
They are both major players. They really are. You know, Big Handsome last time was a little bit off the pace last time out, and I thought he was good in the Manila. I really did. Bricks & Mortar got the best of him. Now, what's going to happen, you know, tomorrow remains to be seen. And Bricks & Mortar showed a lot of heart to me in that backtrack.
Well, he overcame a very slow pace. Big Handsome, he had some trouble. They tried to teach him to rate. They are not going to let him rate tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember we were all surprised by that Big Handsome did not go to the front in that race. I expect to see those tactics certainly changing in the Hall of Fame. Meanwhile, Yoshida, horse who went off as the favorite in the Belmont Derby for Bill Mott.
That's pretty crazy in hindsight, given the strength of the Belmont Derby. But they were probably betting him off of this victory that we saw on the Jimmy Murphy at Pimlico during Preakness weekend. And I will say that it was a very hot pace in front of him. You look at the fractions, especially considering the conditions of the turf that day. But this is exactly how you want to see a horse winning a race. Ears pricked at the wire, a happy horse. He showcases versatility. And I think the Belmont Derby actually sets him up very nicely for the cutback and finding a more manageable field in the Hall of Fame.
Paul, meanwhile, Arklow is going to have an outside post in this race. They moved this horse to the turf. He looked sensational his first couple of starts, and then a real rough go in that Belmont Derby.
You talk about a rough go. It's a confusing rough go. It really is. He sort of broke, well, okay, a little bit slow, and then Mike Smith sort of angled him to the outside. He made a tiny bit, if you can call it a middle move, and he just stopped. And he was the wise guy horse in that race, Andy. He's actually ended up being the second choice. Now, here's his Churchill race when he won. And, you know, we talk about Brad Cox. You mentioned him a little bit yesterday. He's an underrated trainer. But when you look at this backtrack, I think this horse was idling a little bit. But when he saw the other horse on the outside, he took off again.
Oh, he was terrific in both his race in Kentucky, the maiden win down at Keeneland, and this win at Churchill. I think Brad Cox, one of the better young trainers in the game. He was brutal in the Belmont Derby. Now, he was caught wide. He never had cover. He was never in a good trip, but he didn't run a step. It always worries me a little bit when they run well in Kentucky and they come to New York and don't run as well.
No, that's true. And I remember when Brad Cox was talking to me a long time ago, you could see he's a big-bodied horse, and I think that he always thought, Greg, that the mile and a corner wasn't going to be an issue. That question's still in the air because he really didn't fire at all last time.
Yeah, I think he's been too good on the grass his prior 2 starts to explain that Belmont Derby. Maybe that's just a throw-out race. Meanwhile, Jerry Crawford of Donegal Racing, here's his thoughts on what went wrong that day.
I thought we would win the Belmont Derby. What happened in the Belmont Derby was that Arklow got stepped on just coming right out of the gate, and then he got pinched back and hit pretty hard about 100 yards into the race, and Mike Smith just wrapped up on him. I thought you saw the true Arklow on Derby Day in what was a sensational performance in the American turf, you know, against some very accomplished horses. Probably those fields were comparable. And so I think you'll see him bounce back with a vengeance, and I like our chances in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it's going to be a good one. Grade 2, 33rd running of the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. And we'll have it on the show here on Saratoga Live on Friday as you get a look at that lineup and another stacked field.
This is another great betting race, and we see Bricks & Mortar. I think he's, you know, in great form right now. Yoshida clearly has a lot of talent. Snap Decision. Be curious to see if Arklow can transition that Kentucky form, because sometimes we see horses who like a little give in the ground, especially at Churchill. It's kind of a specialist surface. You either love it or hate it. So we'll see if he can turn things around this weekend.
Meanwhile, back in our finale here at Saratoga to close things out on this Thursday afternoon with more on the current favorite, the class dropper, and trying the turf for the first time for Chad Brown. Got the gist. Let's go to Maggie.
I think the gist of her getting bet this heavily is the Chad Brown factor. She switches to his barn off a layoff, gets Lasix for the first time, and stretches out on the turf for the first time as well. Now, as far as the layoff is concerned, she looks pretty fit. She's filled out. She looks strong. She's carrying good muscle weight. Maybe she could be, you know, just a touch more fit. She's probably 90% there, but if she's good enough, she can win on that alone. As far as riding the turf, she looks as though she should handle it. I mean, she's not the most overwhelming or convincing favorite, but she certainly does make sense. Moving on to her outside is number 9, Zen Benny, as she will try New York breds for the first time here, and she's already fairly accomplished on the turf. You know, those figures make her pretty competitive in this spot here. She looks great. I know these are kind of unknown connections as far as New York is concerned, but she's forward, she's sharp, she fits well with this grouping here. I think she's a horse that's going to be at least double-digit odds that should be used in here, Greg.
Yeah, 15-1. I had my eyes on her a little bit. She ran very big at Delaware, coming out of a race in which the first and third place finishers both came back to win. She ran second, of course, in that race. Our show, of course, brought to you in part by Run Happy, the champion sprinter. Won at 6 different racetracks during the course of his career, both on all-weather and dirt. Set a stakes record right here at Saratoga in the King's Bishop, and a track record in that race at Keeneland Breeders' Cup Sprints.
He was very, very fast and always a beautiful, imposing horse in the afternoon. It looks like he still is running around in the fields.
Yeah, there he's on the farm in Paris, Kentucky, part of that great lineup for Claiborne and their stallion roster. We're going to take a break in the action. The finale from Saratoga, 13 minutes to post. We'll be back.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new NYRA Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. NYRA Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download NYRA Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
Back on Saratoga Live, there is Chad Brown talking things over with Javier Castellano. He has got the gist, who is the current 2-1 favorite here in this finale coming up.
He looks very happy. They're smiling, they're laughing. It looks like he's in a very good mood. I would be in a good mood if I had the favorite in here, too.
What does he not have to be happy about the way things are going for him?
Not sure he'll be so happy after this race. I mean, Chad Brown's got some pretty good horses in his barn. They can't all be great as stakes horses. Got the gist is he can win, obviously, or she can. And I used her in that pick 4. We're live to her. But she could also have no ability whatsoever. She doesn't have any turf pedigree.
It's an unknown. I mean, her first race, you could just completely throw it out. It was a disastrous beginning. She shied away. She got checked completely out of the race, and then she ran around the racetrack, and Paco sort of took care of her. Yeah, You make a great point. You don't know what you're really getting. You just know that you're getting the meet's leading turf trainer, and that's why she's 2-1.
And horses do certainly take money because of their trainers.
Yes.
But if this horse was trained by, take a guy, a middle-of-the-road guy, Jeremiah Engelhard is a very good trainer.
Yeah.
She could be 15-1 in here, so I think you're taking the worst. It's just a field where it's tough to grasp anybody really like them, so they're defaulting to Chad Brown. I don't have any confidence this horse can run at all.
Yeah, and you know what? Power to the people, and then power to you, Mr. Sterling. There's 2 horses that are paying out the pick 6, and they're both the horses you like, the 2 and the 8.
My 2 horses are the only 2 covered, the 2 and 8. I do wonder if that had something to do with the 2 being covered, because I think the 2 is a player in this race, Freckle to Freck.
Explain that to me.
I know the horse is 0 for 22, and
Okay.
I don't disagree with what Gabby said. You want horses with less chances. But the horses in this race, the talent is pretty slim pickings. And this horse has run a number of races that are fast enough to win, and last time she ran here a couple of weeks ago, she was involved in a very quick pace that fell apart at the end. She had an outside post to force it. Now she gets an inside post. She might be the speed of the speed, and if not, she can sit comfortably on her inside with Manny Franco. I don't love her in here, but she's 12-1. Who do I have to be afraid of in this race?
Well, I think you have to be afraid of the 10, and I'm going to go back up to Gabby and ask you about this. Because, Gabby, I know you want to push back on this horse, but if you look 2 down, Wish Up beat her by some odd lengths, a lot of lengths, and I thought it was pretty good that day.
And we are talking about the 10, Wish Upon. Yeah, I actually thought her race last time out was very good. She ran the tougher race. She was clumped into that early speed duel. Then she chased. Then I thought she was gamest of all coming down the stretch. So out of that race, I prefer her.
Well, we're going to start our post parade off with Patty Permits. Rudy Rodriguez, Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard, not 0 for 22, just 0 for 1 on the positive side.
And looking at Patty Permits here, has to improve in her second start, now stretching out in distance.
Freckle de Freck for John Hurtler. Manny Franco will be aboard for start number 23.
My top choice. I think she moves into a good inside position. She has early speed, and I think she's a player in this race. And the more Gabby and Paul make fun of me for picking her, the more I like her.
Satara is the 3 for Phil Serpi. Abel Liscano aboard.
Will have to vastly improve off of her last performance, but gets a class relief and has a little bit of speed.
4 is Paz the Wine for High Five Stable, trained by Graham Motion with Jose Ortiz.
I guess she can win, but she's really not that talented, and I wonder if the more distance is necessarily going to help her.
Scarlett Johansson is trained by Michelle Nevin. Hector Diaz Jr. rides.
Have a lot of respect for the barn. This will be the second start off the freshening, but almost an illusion of a race. I thought she had a better trip than what it appears on paper.
Here's Majestic Mac, the 7, and Joel Rosario will ride for Gary Contessa.
You know...
will have to improve off of that last race. Was defeated behind a couple other contenders that she meets once again today.
Andy Serling's rattled. Got the gist, the 8, the other horse he likes in here for Chad Brown with Javier Castellano.
There's still a while to go in the meet, and I am rattled. No doubt about it, Greg. Got the gist. She's the favorite because of the connections, but I think she's a dubious favorite, but might win.
Zen Benny we see next here. This is the 9, Angel Arroyo for Carla Morgan.
She could be a pace factor as well. She did drop in class behind a next out winner, but that horse dropped in class as well in her next victory.
Here's the 10, who Paul and Gabby were talking about earlier. Wish Upon Luis Saez rides for John Terranova.
I don't see what they see, but off her last race, she is a player at least.
The 11, first-time starter, Lemongrass for Dominic Schettino with Rosario Montañez aboard.
We'll have to work out a trip from the outside post position, but I'm curious about this horse at 33-1. She's got a sneaky good pedigree.
The only first-timer in the field. Here's the 12, Pacell for Linda Fisher. And it's Francisco Arrieta riding.
The only way you like her is if you think her 77-1 are 2 lucky 7s.
And that is a horse that would carry over the pick 5, the 12. Pacell is at 77-1 on the board. We're going to take a break in the action. The nightcap here still to come from Saratoga. What will happen in the finale? Andy Serling alive to the 2 and the 8 for the pick 4.
Claiborne Farm is proud to offer the regally bred Orb. The son of Malibu Moon compiled a 5-race winning streak that included the Fountain of Youth and Florida Derby. In the Kentucky Derby, he defeated rivals Will Take Charge, Oxbow, Golden Sense, and Palace Malice. Now the Millionaire Racehorse is garnering big checks for breeders. In the auction ring, Orb is the #1 sire of his crop, with first yearlings selling up to $450,000. Now is the time to book your mare to Orb at Claiborne Farm. Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 1:08 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
Eclipse Award-winning Songbird was bought at Saratoga Fasig-Tipton. Where will you be this August?
Eclipse champion Stellar Wind is a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga grad. Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at nyrabets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on nyrabets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live, and here in the old beautiful grandstand at Saratoga, I'm joined with a special guest, and he is a special friend to a lot of our ex-racehorses that we see retiring from the sport. Michael Blown of Old Friends Farm and founder, and you do so much for these retirees, and we were talking about the new class, if you will, of 2017. Some people saw Private Zone win here in the Forego, and talk about some of the other ones that we can see at the farm down in Kentucky.
Well, we just got Private Zone and Sun King and Albert the Great and Awesome Gem. I mean, it's unbelievable. We're so fortunate to be able to care for these horses when their careers are over.
And for people who aren't familiar with the farm and what you do, talk about, because you kind of take the bigger names that when they're done, either they're stud duty or they're done racing.
Right. We like to balance them out. So we have some that are not that. We have Zippy Chippy, who's over 100, but his motto is winners don't always finish first. And so we have Silver Charm, we have War Emblem and Sarava and Touch Gold. So we have our version of the Triple Crown. Yes, we have a farm in Kentucky. We have a wonderful one here up at Saratoga, Old Friends at Cabin Creek for Bobby Frankel. They're having a big party here at the Polo Club Sunday night at 9 o'clock, or at 6 o'clock. And that should be a lot of fun, but it's great being here at the spa to see where all of our great horses ran.
And also kind of partnering with Barbara Livingston, her sending out her new book, New Friends and Old Friends, and talk a little bit about that, and that benefits the farm as well.
Well, it's a fabulous book. You know, everybody knows Barbara's a genius about taking pictures of these horses that really capture their individual personalities. She put them all in the book, and last night we had a fabulous party, and a whole lot of people that support Old Friends came and signed it. Carolyn Tracy Farmer and Ken Ramsey and Richard Migliori. I mean, the list goes on. Jack Knowlton from Funnyside, everybody came. Terry Finley from West Point. We had a great party, and everybody signed the book, and It's what makes racing great.
It is. And thank you for everything you do, Michael. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Maggie. Really appreciate it.
All right, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Old Friends is tremendous. All that they do to help find retired racehorses a new home and a dignified retirement. So it's a great cause right there, and great what they do for horse races in their second careers after racing.
They do so much for so many people while they're racing, and it's good to see them have a happy home once they go into retirement.
Well, let's pick things back up with, you see Maggie Wolfendale picking the 9. I like this one as well, Zen Benny. But Paul, Zen Benny on the board right now. It's a nice 10-1.
Yeah, and a horse that's run well at Delaware. And the Delaware shippers have run okay. You know, so it's back-to-back Lasix, you know, and dropped for 20. Didn't get the job done. I'm with Gabby upstairs. I thought the 10 was giant. I looked at that, and he was inside, in between horses, and he hung around. I think he's a major player here at 5-1.
Yeah, Wish Upon 5-1, still the favorite. The Chad Brown horse, if no one knows if this horse can run on the turf at all, but the public making that one the favorite just because they respect Chad Brown so much. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call here, the nightcap from Saratoga.
Passel's coming up to the outside stall here to complete the line. Goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Freckle to Freck bounces out quickly. Zen Benny's up and on the pace too. These two out for the early lead together. Satara came away running in third position. On the far outside, Lemongrass is going up to be a part of the pace as well. And then Wish Upon in between horses, making their way toward that turn. Satara is next. And then comes Passel to the outside, a bit wide into the turn. Then Scarlett Johansson, followed by Paz the Wine. Behind them, Got the Gist, Paddy Permits, and the trailer is Majestic Mac. 23.46. The opening quarter mile onto the backstretch for Zen Benny, who's pulled away to lead by 3. Freckle to Freck follows in second. Satara's third. Lemongrass fourth on the outside. Scarlett Johansson progressing in company with Wish Upon. These two going by runners and now within 4 lengths of the lead. Then it's Paz the Wine, who's a good 9 lengths behind at this stage. Got the Gist 2 behind that one after a 48.13 half mile. Then Passel, Paddy Permits, and Majestic Mac last, heading for the far turn. Still Zen Benny and Angel Arroyo. On top, a length and a half. Freckle to Freck is second. Satara third to the outside. Scarlett Johansson on the rail, 2.5 lengths from the front. Wish Upon follows them in fifth. After that, Paz the Wine and Got the Gist, and they're coming toward the top of the stretch. And Zen Benny set sail for home. A 2-length lead on Freckle to Freck. Satara, Paz the Wine is on the inside. Center of the course, Wish Upon trying to make a late bid, but Zen Benny's got a 4-length lead. Wish Upon up into second. Paz the Wine's on the inside. Then Freckle to Freck. Zen Benny's got it. Zen Benny goes all the way to a 3-length win. And then it was Wish Upon second, followed by Paz the Wine and Got the Gist. Came on late for fourth in 142.07.
Zen Benny coming in from Delaware, gets to the front early on and just keeps on going.
Zen Benny coming in hot, coming out of the gate hot, went right into the first turn and secured that lead position, and it was really all said and done from there, Greg. She managed to get to the front end and have the tactical advantage as every other horse was really spinning their wheels behind her. Now, the 10, actually, she made several moves. It looked like she was dropping back and she wasn't going to be a factor. She resurged a little bit to get up for second, but Zen Benny, wire to wire, much the best there.
They let her walk on the front end, but you know what? She's a new face.
Yeah.
She's a shipper here as a new face, and I think the key of the race was just having the courage to say, you know what? This Chad Brown horse, the 8, is being bet because it's Chad Brown.
Yeah.
Take a shot with some others. You like the 10. The 9 was mentioned here as well. I couldn't add the 4, but these horses were very possible.
Yeah, you're right. And the horse that where Angel Arroyo just took the initiative in a race that you were looking for some odd pace was Freckle to Freck going to try to go to the front end. They decided not to, and I thought Wish Upon ran great. I mean, just ran into a horse that got away with fractions, but finished up nice. It's different when a horse gets away with fractions and doesn't finish. But Zen Benny's a comfortable winner here. The 10's going to get the job done sooner or later. A nice effort by Luis Saez, but no match to the winner.
9, 10, 4, 8. By the way, the 8 got the gist. The Chad Brown runner in here claimed going to the Danny Gargan barn.
Well, Danny Gargan is very good off the claim, but maybe we could see a surface switch here because she kind of had her head up coming down the lane. She never really looked comfortable, so I don't know if turf is really her preferred surface.
Perhaps synthetic for her. I got a feeling that the connections, Paul Pompa and Chad Brown, they're going to be able to sleep tonight having lost her in the claim box.
Yeah, I think they're okay with that, too. They'll take the 40,000. But I'll tell you what, she ran on okay. And here's the other part. Still in New York bred here, so you can find some other spots.
Let's send it down to Maggie now, standing by with a winning trainer.
I got to admit, I'm doing a little reminiscing here with trainer Carla Morgan as we go way back, Colonial Downs days. But Carla, Zen Benny, you had her ready to fire.
Thank you, thank you. We're very happy. The breeders have done a great job. This is like the third generation.
It is. I remember the dam, as you were saying. And Carla, your first win here at Saratoga?
My first time to race.
You're 100%.
I am.
How many people can say that, Carla? We're so happy for you. Congratulations. Job well done with Zen Benny.
Thank you.
All right, Greg. Happy smiles here in the winner's circle.
Love to see that. Winning here means so much. It's so special. A horse, especially when you bring someone in from out of town and win on a big stage like this.
It brings you back down to reality, Greg. I mean, we're all fortunate, so fortunate to see all these phenomenal racehorses taking down grade 1s, grade 2, grade 3s. But look at the pure joy that Carla Morgan has just from getting a victory with her recent maiden here. So I know Carla from way back in the day. Maggie and I, we were going around Colonial Downs long ago. So it's really a pleasure to see her in the winner's circle today.
A great moment right there, and congrats to Carla Morgan winning at 13-1 here to close. I don't think she can still believe that she won this race here. So this race in the books, Paul, Andy, obviously we have a tremendous weekend coming up. We're going to see Gun Runner in the Whitney on Saturday, and of course tomorrow on the show we have the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, great Hall of Fame ceremonies here on Friday morning, a great Hall of Fame race here, great racing. The weekend, I mean, we're looking at the weekend cards. The racing here is sensational.
It really is sensational, and the payoffs have been showing it in the early pick fives, the late pick five, the pick fours, whatever you want to play. And I think we forget about the vertical playing, which is the superfectas and the exactas have been playing well all meet.
One thing we're not going to forget about, there's a $160,000 carryover in the pick six into Friday's card. So the action just keeps getting better and better. And I think when you see carryovers, Paul, when you see double carryovers, it's an indication of how good and competitive the racing is.
Yeah, that's true. And I think you'll see up close to $1 million. And again, if you're around the area, I strongly urge you go to the Hall of Fame. It is such a cool place to visit.
Well, and again, tomorrow, Javier Castellano, the late Garrett Gomez, Victor Espinosa, Golda Kova, the late Tom Voss, all going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is going to be a tremendous ceremony. If you can get there, be sure to be part of it. It's always sensational right across the street from the racetrack here at Saratoga. Here are the prices from this finale here. Zen Benny, 13-1 to close it out. As we take a look at our Naira Bets late pick 5 follow-up, 50-cent payout, $3,813 with Zen Benny in the finale. For Andy Serling, Paul LaDuca, Maggie Wolfadale, Gabby Gaudet, I'm Greg Wolf. Hope you enjoyed it. It was hard study in the Birdstone, lasting the 1 3/4 miles in that marathon event, weaving a little bit in the stretch, but you can't blame him for getting tired, but got the job done, beating, among others, the defending champ in Turco Bravo. Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez, Paul Pompa Jr. winning the feature. We will see you on Friday with the Hall of Fame. Take care, everybody.
Together, Satara came away running in 3rd position. On the far outside, Lemongrass is going up to be a part of the pace as well, and then Wish Upon in between horses making their way toward that turn. Satara is next, and then comes Passel to the outside a bit wide into the turn, then Scarlett Johansson followed by Paz the Wine. Behind them, Got the Gist, Patty Permit,